Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, all of my visitors, subscribers, and Cravenites. Welcome to Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Guys, this is going to be an amazing night, one that I've been looking forward to for quite some time, and I'm so glad that you're all here to enjoy it with me. It's going to be fun. We're going to have the amazing Zack Cherry on in just a few moments to talk Scream history for the franchise. We're going to talk about Scream 6. We're really just going to talk about whatever happens to move down that river that we're all on together as we're just kind of going with the flow. So it's going to be fun. We're going to have a great time. For those of you that are new here, if you've not subscribed to the channel, I would greatly appreciate you smashing that subscribe button if you like Scream content, Halloween content, horror content in general, live streams, videos, breakdowns, theories, all of that good stuff. I do it here all the time, almost 7 days a week, so pretty much. So if you've not subscribed, hey, come subscribe, come back, check out the content. And if you have subscribed but you have not yet smashed that thumbs up button, please do so. It will help others find this stream with Zack tonight we're doing right now. That's right. The more likes we get, the more YouTube sends it out to folks live. So if you want to help more people find this amazing discussion, as Zack is coming to give his time to us tonight, hit that thumbs up button, 2 seconds or less, and it's done. Now, something else I want to do really quickly is acknowledge my patrons and my channel members. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you. If you see your name in green and a little skull logo by it in the chat, that's a channel member. That's someone who's supporting this channel monthly. I greatly appreciate your support. So guys, I always love to put the spotlight on you every single live stream. So here we go, guys. All of you guys who are supporting this channel, this is for you guys. All right. Thank you again, guys. Much appreciated. Also, before I bring Zack on, just want to let you guys know the order of business tonight regarding the chat. I will always do, as I do every live stream, I will do my very best to get to your questions and comments. However, I know that when I have special guests, especially a very special guest like Zack tonight, I know that it's going to be impossible to do that, and I know you guys will be grace, show some grace and understanding. However, I want you to know that if you do have a question that for Zack that you would like answered or a topic for us to discuss throughout the chat tonight, be sure you submit a super chat, because when you do that, I will get special notification. I'll know it's there, and I will make sure that we discuss your comment. So if you send a super chat, I promise you we'll get to it. Otherwise, I can't promise you we'll get to it, but we'll do our very best, all right? So, guys, having laid that out, I think it's about that time. So, guys, you know him, the amazing, amazing Zack Cherry. Please give a round of applause in the chat and show him your love as I bring him on now. Welcome to the stream, Zack. Welcome, my friend.
Hello, Steven.
Hey.
You said such nice things about me.
It's all true, my friend. Trust me, it's all true. You can. I'll send you a bill. Don't worry, in the mail. It's all good. So no.
Thank you.
Oh man! Again, I just have to say, Zack, thank you for making the time to spend here tonight. This is really an honor. I've loved your content for ages, and like I said, long before this channel ever existed, I was watching your content and enjoying it. So it is a real pleasure for me personally for you to be here and to have this time to talk. So
thank you. Thank you for having me so much. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm glad to be here.
Man, it's my honor, really. And real quick, just I see it real quick before we get started. We got a $2 super chat just came in, and Mystic says, "What's up, Craven? What's up? Well, a lot's up. Zack's here. That's what's up, my friend." And
hey, Mystic.
Thank you so much for joining the stream and your super chat. Thank you for getting us started with such a generous thing. And Zack, something I do here whenever I get a super chat, I do like to play a little special clip, just kind of like a little, extra thanks. And so, real quick, guys, we're going to start off with a Bobo. Here we go.
I'm going to make your Bobo bounce right now.
And there he goes. Okay. Zach's by the end of this stream, Zach's gonna be like, what am I
I
watching?
don't know what's going on here.
Oh my gosh. One of my friends sends me some silly clips. I like to find little fun, crazy stuff.
Mm.
Anyway, so Zach, I'll tell you, here's what I'd like to do before we get into the nitty gritty of Scream, which is where we're heading tonight. I'd like to talk
Mhm.
about you for a little bit because I'd love to ask you some questions about kind of taking us back to the beginning. Like if you could take us back to what
Sure.
first of all what and I love your little tagline about how you were warped by horror movies at a young age. I laugh every time I
Oh,
see.
I was, yeah.
That's so great. So if you could kind of maybe just take us back to the beginning. At what point did you say, I've got to start a channel? Like, how did that whole thing start?
Start a channel.
The origin story.
Yeah, just as far as YouTube goes,
Yeah,
I
like
think
yeah.
that this was actually something that I had discussed with a friend.
Okay.
We had talked about it because we would constantly just be watching these horror movies from our youth that we would go back and revisit, and we would kind of I guess she had sort of described it. I think maybe like the two old men from Sesame Street,
Oh,
Waldorf and Statler. Right? I think of just
I
like
think
just sitting
so.
in the armchairs and just being completely judgmental of like we would be in the movies and people would be running by and would just be like idiot. Like, well, they're gonna die. And it started like spinning the wheels in my head. I'm just like, we should do like a YouTube channel or something like that. And I don't know, like she wasn't really gung ho on the idea. So I think it was just one of those things where I had to get to the point just like with myself and realize that if you have an idea, don't always rely on somebody else to kind of bolster you and get you to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it yourself. And after a lot of hesitation, I think I started to do it, but it wasn't a seamless transition. I think that I have a lot of problems, not so much like speaking it to people,
Mm-hmm.
because like I can be very extroverted if I need to be. I'm typically not in my regular social life, but I've worked in service industry, so I have always kind of been forced to talk to people. But when it came time to
Mm-hmm.
turn on a camera and then start to talk to absolutely nobody except for the computer screen in front of you, that's where I kind of froze up and didn't know what to say, and would watch back what I had recorded and been like,
Mm-hmm.
no, that's all wrong. I can't do this. Um, so I did this little self experiment, where for 30 days or for like an entire month, I made a 1 or 2 minute video every day just to post on social media, and it would just be random things that I would talk about. Sometimes it would be like nothing I would talk about. Sometimes I would show up with like a face mask on,
Okay.
like a exfoliating thing, just to like make myself a little more comfortable. Just take the
Sure.
walls down,
Yeah, man.
and slowly over the course of the month, I noticed that okay, this is getting easier. I'm becoming a little more relaxed with
Mm-hmm.
doing it. And then finally, when that month was over, I'm just like, okay, now I can start. And
Yeah.
even then, even when I started, like my very first video, it's I could go back and watch that and just be like, okay, yeah, this is not good. But that's I mean, I guess for anyone who is interested in ever pursuing something like YouTube, you just have to know that it's not going to be good, and
That's right.
it's you just kind of have to work through it. And it
Mm-hmm.
was definitely helpful to do that exercise for the month there to just kind of psych myself up to it. But at a certain point, you have to take the safety wheels off and just kind of go right into it. And that's kind of where I started. And I I mean, obviously you know what you're doing with your channel. You have since day one. It seems like it's
Oh,
all Wes Craven and screen based. I had no niche, really. I just kind of was like, I guess I'll do movie reviews. It wasn't even specific to horror movies.
hmm.
And the first video I actually did was a review of the movie Judy with Renee Zellweger.
Oh wow, yeah.
But yeah, and I was just like, this is this is not even a movie that I would typically go and
Hmm.
watch myself. But that was kind of what it started out as. I would go to as many movies a week as I possibly could, which I usually capped at 3, but sometimes I would go to 4, and I would come home and I would quickly do up a review and put it out there. And it didn't get a lot of traction. I think I got a few subscribers at the beginning, which were probably
Hmm.
mostly people that knew me because I put it out there on social media. And I started to, I guess, do like new movie news stuff, or just if something
Okay.
had come up. And I remember this is right around the time that Scream 5 was really kind of first coming into the forefront of people's minds, of just that it's actually going to happen at some point. And
Yeah.
that was the first video I did that really kind of blew up. uh and when I say blow up, like nothing in terms of what I would be used to now, but just like
Yeah.
I would get like a couple hundred views on it. I'm just like, wow, this is unprecedented. I've like in the short time I've been doing this, I've never experienced this. So I kind of
Yeah.
took that as a cue and just kind of followed down that niche. Obviously, there's a lot of focus on Scream, but I wanted to like make it more about
Hmm.
the horror franchise in general, which I feel like still Scream is inescapable for me. It's always going to be the thing that ties me to my channel. Which, I mean, there could be a worse franchise
Oh my gosh.
other than Scream
So
to
true.
be your niche. But in a way, it was very serendipitous, because it was I wouldn't have. I mean, I have many favorite scary movies. I wouldn't necessarily classify Scream as my favorite, although it's damn near close. And I
Hmm.
think that when I was younger, I really did love these movies, but it wasn't like in the case, it wasn't really me finding Scream. It's almost like, and it's like cheesy as this sounds, it's like Scream found me, Scream chose me
Hey man, love it.
through doing that. And then from there, it just kind of built up momentum and kept going. And I never went to a movie that I didn't want to see or didn't necessarily need to see to review it again, because I just talked about the movies that I love,
Yes.
which was horror.
The
Yeah.
passion. That's right. And I tell you what was it that, like, the creative side of you, what what was the spark that, and because, like, when I think about Zach Cherry videos, I think of the incredible Who Killed Who, the breakdowns. It's just so much detail. I mean,
Yeah.
just like, I cannot imagine the time to put that together, think it through logically. And then I think the first video, one of the very first videos I ever
Mhm.
saw, it might have been, I don't know if it was Who Killed Who in Scream One. It was one of those, but I remember watching it and thinking to myself, "Wow, now that is this cat has got his stuff together," and So I'm just curious, like, when did the desire, or was it always there, to not just do commentary or theories, but to actually do that kind of level of a detail, if you will?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I have a very weird brain, and I'm always thinking about like stuff that I see in movies that nobody really talks about, but people always unconsciously think about. And
Hmm.
not I don't want to take credit for being the person who created Who Killed Who, because if you go back on YouTube, you can see that there's been videos that people have made of Who Killed Who long before I did. There's people who make them long after I did. And I know that actually the first one that because I didn't initially do the entire movie, I had done the mapping out of the original opening scene with Casey Becker, because I always watch that scene and I just kind of see it almost in a way that like how I envisioned Wes Craven had directed it and planned it, of just like, I don't know if he had storyboarded it or actually, you know, had a map of the location that they used and decided where everything was going to be going on, just in relation to everything else. Because, you know, you think about it and you know that there's two killers in hindsight after you've seen the movie for the first time. And you have to wonder, like, okay, well, they're both there, contrary to whatever people might believe because of what Tatum says later on, but they're both there. And it's more like, okay, well, what role did they play? Because that's where my brain starts working. I'm just like, where would they be? How are they can see her, she can't see them.
Yeah.
And from there, it just kind of, I went on Keynote, and I made a crude diagram, like a blueprint of the house and the outside, and just kind of started placing people and just like, where would they go, and made it. This took a really long time. I don't even remember how long it took, but it was just mapping it out so it played out in real time with the scene, because I wanted to have it for myself, but also I'm like, this might make an interesting video. I don't know if anyone will really, you know, catch on to it or anything, but you know, I want to put that out there. And I made this video, and I think from there people were just like, wow, like the level of like, this is crazy. Can you do this for every murder scene? I think
Everyone?
like the most recommended was the entire last act of the movie, starting with when they get to the party. And I'm just like, no, I'm never gonna do this again. Like this was way too much work. But the reason why it works for this particular scene is because this is in real time, and there's so much technically involved with what was being filmed, that it's I wouldn't say it's easy to figure it out, but there's clues that have been placed in there that at least tell me like this is what might have happened. And you know, a lot of people don't agree with my assessment, but what I say to them is like, hey, make your own, you know, like
I mean, go for it. Yeah. Let's see. And I mean, it's interesting because that whole opening scene of Scream is and it's more so to me like after seeing it, because thankfully I was blessed enough to see every Scream film in the theaters when they were first released. So I'm a legacy fan. So I was there. I didn't go opening weekend or anything, but I went the first week of January of '97 after work one night, and I'll never forget going to the theater, watching Scream, and being so incredibly blown away by what I had just seen. It was one of those impact moments I've never forgotten. I can recall now walking out of the theater to my truck, driving. I mean, I remember the whole night because of that movie. But when you really think about what happened in that scene, there had to be two. They both had to be there. Stuff's happening way too fast, because you've got people getting gutted. And there's clues in the audio, and you really hear it with headphones, because you can hear the dogs barking. You can hear. It's very interesting how those cues are there. And then knowing they're both there, obviously Casey, there was no door, at least the front door and the back door. It didn't matter which one she went out. It was, you know, her fate was sealed, essentially.
Right.
And then, to me, Zach, the final like nail in the coffin that there had to be two was the hanging of her, because there's no way in that time frame one person could get that done. That was a two-person job.
Not at all. Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's the only way that makes sense. So but to see your video on it and break it down, it's so entertaining. And so if you guys have not seen it yet, here in the chat, where Zack breaks in. I mean, it's not just the first one. you got to look at all of them. But that's the one that first one is kind of where it started for me, and that was like, okay, I'm on the Zack Cherry train, because this guy knows his stuff, and I was a subscriber and a viewer from that point forward.
Yeah.
So
it started there. And you know what? Like because when I eventually did the the one for the full movie for the original,
Yes.
that didn't pick up right away. Like I think I'd made it. It wasn't until months later that it kind of blew up. It's I think currently sitting at 1.5 million views.
Jeez.
That specific one, but all of the like the subsequent sequel ones that I made,
Yeah.
are quite popular. And
Yes.
I was just kind of going through it. It didn't even feel like it wasn't planned. It was just kind of like, okay, I feel like, I did the first one. I may as well do the second one. I was going to go from 2 to 4, but then I felt like, there's something missing here. I at least should pay respect to 3 in some way. And kind of did one, like, if, because originally there was going to be 2 killers, and who would have killed who if it was the 2 killers originally. Right. And I went on to 4, and then obviously there was a huge gap of time where there was no new movie, and all I heard for the longest time is like, who killed who in Scream 5? Like that's what we're waiting for. Even after the movie had come out, I had a lot of impatient people every day asking me, where's the video? When's it coming? Just like, I'm working on it. It was the video for Scream 5 ended up being 1 hour and 7 minutes. And it ended up being that long because every other video that I had made, there was always people who were like, well, you didn't take into account this or this. And my response to that was always, well, I actually did. Like, I mentally clocked it, but I'm just trying to condense it so it's not a very long video, because I don't want people to, take up too much of their time. So by the 5th one, I'm just like, forget it. Like, I will leave no stone unturned. You're gonna get 1 hour and 7 minutes of every possibility, just to disprove everything, because I didn't want to hear any kind of naysayer opinion. Which, I mean, that's fine. I'll still take it, but that's why I say I always encourage people to make your own Who Killed Who video and show your reasoning. I want to, because I think the biggest point of contention was with Scream 4, because I had initially said, which I still stand by, is that Jill didn't kill anyone other than the 2 people that she was framing as being the killers. And she tried to kill Sydney for some reason. I don't know why she didn't let Charlie do it, but people disagree with that. I'm just like, okay, like, you can disagree with it, but show me your math. Like, show me your work. That's all I want. Give me the details of how this is possible.
Right.
Don't get angry about it. Just show me the work.
Yeah, exactly. It should be a fun exercise, Let's because if you disagree, you should have a reason. Because here's why. Because I think this might have happened, and that's the whole thing, is to get that dialogue going, right, and discussion. So, I mean, personally, I have no problem with thinking Charlie did it all. I never really thought Jill. I always viewed Jill as the manipulator, mastermind. She was the puppet master over Charlie, and everyone. Yeah, it is. I mean, she's manipulating every relationship she had. Even her mom, everyone. So, yeah, no problem there. Hey, real quick, Zach, let's take just a second. I got some super chats I want us to get to, and let's go through these, and we're gonna pick it back up, guys. Katie from Poppin' the Popcorn's coming in saying, "Welcome, Zach. We love you, Craven. So excited." Awesome, Katie.
Hey, Katie.
Thank you so much for your super chat, friend. And then next up, we've got, I'll just kind of go through them all, and then we'll just play like one big clip for everybody at the end. Let's do it that way. Dreaming Insomniacs, what's going on, man? Says 2 of my favorite horror fans we've had on our podcast as well. My question for our fellow horror aficionados, what's your favorite scary movie? Ooh, Zach, go ahead, brother. Let me, I'll let you answer first, man. If you had to pick one.
Hey, Joe. My favorite scary movie is actually, it's called Tenebrae. It's a Dario Argento film.
Yes, I've seen that movie. What a atmosphere and tone.
I mean, if people want more murder mysteries and stuff like that, that's my recommendation. That's like the Italian Scream without Ghostface, but.
But you're right, though. It is. It's very good. It's an excellent movie. I haven't seen that in a long time, but when I watched it, I thought it was a very well done film. So, love that. My personal favorite scary movie. I mean, it's not to cop out or anything, but yeah, it's Scream '96. It is. I
It's a
love it,
perfect
man.
movie. Yeah.
It is, man. I say that all the time on the channel here. I think it is a Wes Craven masterpiece level film, and it's to be one put in film schools and said, this is how you make a horror movie. Study it,
Mhm.
learn it. Thank you so much for your super chat, buddy. And that's next up. Nathaniel's coming in, says, thanks for having Zach. Come on, Craven. He is the best. Oh, I don't
Thanks.
disagree with that.
Thanks, Nathaniel.
Appreciate you, buddy. And then Sarah's coming in with a $5 super chat. I came from Zach's channel, but I'll be sticking around. Your content seems awesome, and everyone in your chat is lovely. Yay! Welcome, Sarah. I'm so
Sarah.
glad. That's so great.
Thank you.
So cool. Thanks for coming over and being here tonight. And I'm so glad you feel welcome. And I promise you, this is the environment that we have every live stream. It's very important to me that the community here is very loving, very encouraging of one another. And whether your view is different than mine or anyone else's, it's accepted, and we respectfully can talk about it. And it's a place where you're safe. So I'm glad you're feeling welcome. Thank you, Sarah. And I look forward to you on my next live streams. I'll look for you. Appreciate your super chat as well. And one of my mods coming through. Here's Carrie Crave Cinema. Thank you, Carrie. Like Ghostface says, Jack Cherry, it's an honor.
Thanks, Carrie.
Carrie's awesome. She's one of my mods, a great supporter of the channel. And Anthony's coming in with a $2 super chat. Yo, Zach, are those displays behind you or vinyls? Ooh,
Those are vinyls.
beautiful. They look good.
It's my vinyl record wall.
Nice.
But a lot of people ask me about that too.
Yeah. So I noticed we got some. You want to maybe hit us with your first favorite one or two that's behind you? You got a couple of favorites.
That are on the shelf there. Well, I don't know if the ones I have displayed here. It's more aesthetic. But I know that I mean, I can see the Friday the 13th one behind me. Harry Manfredini. That's always a sure bet. And speaking of Tenebrae, I've got that up there. Actually, you know what? Halloween, Season of the Witch, Halloween 3. That's one of my favorites for sure.
Dude.
I think that's. I mean, maybe this is controversial, but out of all of the scores in that franchise, I think that's the best one. Which is sadly
that's a hot take.
The one that most farthest removed from
Right.
the regular theme that's in all of the other ones. But I love every part about it. So
That's a wonderful
good
movie.
one. Yeah.
That's a movie, Zach. I say all the time. If they hadn't named it Halloween, and they just put this cool horror movie called Season of the Witch, I think it would have been much better received back in '83.
Oh, totally.
Because the heat it took back then, I was a kid, but I remember the heat back then was where's Michael Myers? It was like slaughtered, literally or hypothetically. And I'm telling you, it's Tom Atkins, dude. Come on. The guy's like, he rules the 80s. He's amazing. So I think that's impressive, my friend.
It always breaks my heart just a little bit when I see people state their rankings for the franchise and automatically put Halloween 3 in last place and they'll even explain like this is in last place because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it. Just like, so what? Like are we actually gonna watch Halloween Resurrection? So sorry.
Oh
if
no,
that's your movie.
Dude,
to anyone watching. So sorry, but are we really gonna watch that above Season of the Witch?
Oh my gosh, dude. Resurrection here on the channel again. No disrespect to those that love that movie. It's totally cool. Yeah. Totally cool. It's art. We have the right to love any of this stuff. It's great. And I'm not one of those people. I'm sorry, man. Buster Rhymes. Come on, man.
I'll say that I'm glad that it exists because it's a learning experience
for
the studio who put it out there and for future studios and filmmakers.
Yeah.
So that's the perspective that I take away from that. And you know what, even at its worst, every movie in the Halloween franchise has something good about it.
Yeah, true. I agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even the ones that are not up there, there's something redeeming in them. Even like Curse of Michael Myers, which takes a lot of heat, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Donald Pleasance, man. The guy was
Yeah.
brilliant, and he alone almost is the reason I go back to those movies, those Thorn films, because
Yeah.
it's Donald Pleasance, man. The guy was amazing. So real quick, we had a few more super chats come through, Zach. So let me hit these, and then we're going to get back to Scream, and then we'll let some more super chats, if they come in, add up a little bit, and we'll hit them again later. But real quick, some of you guys have been waiting for a little while. Bye Polar. Thank you, Polar. Says thank you, Zach, for joining us. Huge fan of your content. Burning question: are you on the Stu train? See, everyone here knows I'm the conductor of the Stu train, and so I figured that might come up tonight.
Well, hey, bye Polar. And yes, I was made aware of this, and I mean, like, I'm assuming the Stu train means a return of Stu.
A return of Stu Macher. Yeah, right.
I am not on the Stu train. However, if it pulls up to my station, I won't not get on it. I'm just,
there you go.
I'm not pre-purchasing a ticket.
I love it.
Destination, if that makes sense.
Well, so how about this? I'm the conductor of the train, and when I get the call that it's time to load up and roll for Scream 6 or 7, and we'll come through your neighborhood, and we'll stop and I'll say, Zach, it's time. He's back.
Okay. For sure.
He's back. Come on, man. Let's go. First class seat for you, the VIP section. I love it. Love it. Thank you, Polar. Much appreciated for your support. Thank you for your super chat, man. Really, I appreciate that. And then just a couple of more here. Bobby's coming through. What's up, Bobby? Craven and Zach Cherry love to see this collab. Awesome.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man. Real quick, Jennifer. What's up, Jennifer's coming in with a $5 super chat. Just wanted to say hi and thank you, Craven and Zach. Love your Scream videos, Zach.
Well, thank you, Jennifer.
Yay. All right, and just a couple more here, and we'll get back to Scream Talk, or back to your channel talk, and then Scream Talk. My buddy from the Lethal Collective, Night Watch Zone. What's up, Night? Hey, brother Craven. Yes, sir. Awesome work as always. Thank you. Welcome, Zach. My question is, how much longer do you think the Scream franchise will / should go? So it's kind of two questions. You think it will, and then what do you think it should? Good question.
Yeah. Well, hey, Night Watch. I think that as long as there's a need for it, and I think that, like, every movie up until this point, I mean, regardless of what everyone's least favorite Scream is, I feel that every Scream movie is good because it's relevant to what it is and the time that it came out. And I feel that they've always been a commentary about something within the genre. So I feel that as long as they can keep making Scream movies and have it be relevant to, where we are with horror movies today, or as they come out, then they could keep going for as long as they have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems to me with Scream too, Zach, that you've got the way the movie's formulated, if you will, where it's not just one character like a Michael Myers for 40 years or a Jason Voorhees. It's a different killer every movie. They're wearing the same costume, but you're having fresh blood, if you will, fresh motives, fresh cast members, not necessarily the core, but the surrounding cast members, like we're seeing, like this one, Samara, Kirby's back, and then it seems to me that also maybe will make it more in line for longevity to keep going, because you can always bring in new stars that are really popular, and it's a fresh story and motive every movie. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, might help it stay longer,
Yeah.
hopefully.
I mean, I think at this point, like it's 5 out of 5
Yeah.
in my books, you know,
Hmm.
but no matter how, you know, varying I would rank each one of them. I love them all. And I can't say
Yeah,
the same thing about, you know, Halloween, for instance, what we were just talking about.
that's right.
So I think that as long as the
100%.
quality is there, as long as the box office is there, and as long as there's the purpose, then keep going.
Yeah. Let's go. Keep it up. Knight, thank you so much for your super chat, man. That really very generous of you, buddy. Appreciate you, man. And then Carter, Scotland Allen with a $20 super chat. Wow. Thank you, Carter. That's so generous, my friend. Not even joking. Both your channels keep me sane while I make my transfer back to acting/writing. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you. I'm glad. Thank you. For both of you, though, you can keep one Scream 1 through 5 prop other than the mask. What do you pick? Oh my gosh. That's great.
Do
Zach?
you want to go first?
No.
Do I have to go first?
You don't have to. I'll talk. If you want me to go first, I'll go. It's a hard one. That's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of thinking involved there.
Go ahead. I'll tell you. I'll take it first. I'll give you a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Uh, So it can't be the mask from any of these movies. You know what it would be? If I could have one prop, it's going to be, you know, a lot of people would think maybe it's is it the buck 20, that 120, the knife that Stu held or something. That's tempting. Or Stu's actual screen worn clothes from scene 118, the third act, tempting. But you know what it really would be for me? And it's a controversial prop that surprisingly, Zach, I think you're kind of like on it a little bit as well, if I remember right. It's from Scream 3, and it's the voice changer. It's the one voice changer in the franchise where we have the silver with the multiple buttons, with the sampled voices in it. And I look, for all the heat it takes for like that technology wasn't there, and I've heard all of those, and I get it. But my thought is this: you know, Wes went out and did something different for that movie. He did something that had not been done in the other films, and I love him for trying something different. And I think the concept is really cool. That anytime you get a phone call, it could be, you think you're talking to your spouse, your sibling, your friend, and you have no idea you're talking to a killer, because that's a terrifying thought to me. Like, Zach, right now, if I got a call from you and it says Zach Cherry, and we're talking horror movies on our phones, and you're freaking outside of my door, and you're like, you were nowhere near here, that's terrifying to think that that's someone else. So I love the idea personally, you know, and so I suspend, you know, disbelief. I think it's really fun. And Scream 3 is my movie where it's my special movie I love. It's like a Scooby-Doo movie on steroids. That's how I describe it. And it kind of fits in with that mindset. So long answer is it's the Scream 3 voice changer. And I went extra long to give Zach extra time so that he can come up with the killer prop.
Thank
And
you.
so, Zach, what say you, my friend? What would yours be?
Okay. I had two, but I kind of narrowed it down to one. And I'm assuming we can do clothing, right? Because the
Anything.
mask is
Yeah.
okay. Well, first I was gonna say the Gale Weathers book, the Woodsboro Murders, but I mean, like, you could probably find that in any store, you know.
Right.
So I was gonna say the prop that I want is the actual that neon green suit skirt combo that Gale Weathers iconically wears in the first movie that we also see, although that's a different one, in Scream 3, worn by Parker Posey. I would just hang that up on my wall.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That would be amazing to have. It is iconic, man. It really is. And I love even like the screenshots we've gotten from 6 already. I love how in 5 we got her in all red, and then in 6 now we're seeing her in this like, I call it power blue, you know, suit that she's wearing, like, and with some neon green shoes. to go with her.
Yeah,
blue suit.
it's a very interesting color contrast. I'm pretty sure I had. Do you remember those the Tamagotchi, like the little virtual pets from
Yeah,
the 90s?
dude.
I'm pretty because
I
I
haven't
saw
heard
that, and
that.
the first thing I thought of was just like I'm pretty sure I had a Tamagotchi that was like both of those colors combined.
So good, dude. I haven't
Yeah.
heard that in forever.
But yeah, she's she's pretty much taken up the entire rainbow at this point. Across
Totally,
all those movies.
she has. Carter, thank you, my friend. Great
Thank you,
question.
Carter.
That was a
Yeah.
fun one. Yeah, and I'm so glad that Zach and I's channels are keeping you going, man. That means the world. It really does. Thank you so much, buddy.
Good luck.
And yes, good luck. That's right. And one more super chat, and then we're going to get back to Talk and Scream. Maverick Media, what's up, Maverick? Coming in, big fan, Zach. H3 is number 2 on my Halloween list. There you go, Zach. So you're not alone, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Maverick. You know what? I think I had it at number 3. It could shift to number 2 for sure. I think that the John Carpenter, the first 3, that's my sweet spot there with that franchise.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. And I've been talking a lot about it lately, like just throughout conversations on the streams and stuff. And it makes me want to have a watch party really soon because I want to see it again. It's been like a while.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, listen, for all your super chats that have come in, thank you for your generosity. Be sure to keep those coming in so we can make sure we can get those in front of Zach and he can comment on them as well. I'm going to do like for the sake of time though, instead of doing like all those multiple clips, I'm going to do one really cool clip here that and let's see here. We'll go with, you know what? Here's one that's fun because we talked about the Stew Train earlier, and this will kind of cover. We'll just go and see what Matthew Lillard has to say about it, and maybe that'll change our minds. So here you go, guys. For all your super chats, this clip is for you.
How would you envision Stu returning to Scream 5?
Scarred. Well, he's not in 5, I'll tell you that. But whenever he comes back somewhere in the future, because that's what happens in horror movies all the time, they bring the killers back. He's scarred, but yet handsome with great abs.
He feels he didn't die.
I didn't, dude. I will throw a TV on my face right now to prove it. On TV, I will be like, here's the deal. This 2-ton TV, I'm going to throw on my face. And if I die, then I will let this moment go.
I think the TVs now you wouldn't die, but the TVs back then you definitely would.
I would not die. I would not die. They had to add those sparks. Those sparks aren't real.
So I would like to argue on behalf of the stupidheads out there that he is still alive.
Oh yes, Matthew Lillard, man, is he not the best?
That was unexpected. I'll tell you what. I'll give you if they ever did a reboot of 13 Ghosts, let him come back in that,
dude.
Because
that movie,
it's about ghosts. He could still be there.
I mean, he could still be there. If he died at some point, he could definitely be there. And that, in fact, it's so funny you say that because we just watched a 13 Ghost here on my channel as a watch party last month. And so it's like, I hadn't seen it since it was in theaters. And it's just great. Matthew Lillard he's awesome. He's just awesome. Oh, all right, guys. So let's get back to it. Now, so let's try to transition now. Oh, real quick, I got to say this is you've got another channel now. Also, just briefly want to hit on real quick is you've started called The Cherry Picker, which is a really fun channel breaking down movies, and you're not, and I love it because you take your time. You guys are You take it. So just tell us real quickly, what you're doing over there at Cherry Picker, because it's really good.
Yeah. Well, essentially, the Cherry Picker is a podcast that I started with my friend Eddie, and every week we get together. I had a lot of people, saying that they wanted to see more videos from me, more long form content. So we started doing the podcast. I made a separate channel for it because I didn't know how it would affect my main channel algorithmically, but it's linked in the channel links, or up in the banner and all that, or you can just look up the Cherry Picker. And the Cherry Picker, I mean, other than my namesake, is that we discuss these movies. They could be new releases, they could be movies from 40 years ago or any time in between, and we'll talk about it in depth, and then by the end of the episode we each choose one person that we feel was the most deserving to die in the movie, and essentially the vote then turns to the viewer or listener. It's in both video format, and you can also listen to it wherever podcasts stream. And it's a little back and forth game, like whoever wins that one week will get first dibs the next week. And right now Eddie's on a tear with his nominations, and but you never know. And it's fun because it's our way of kind of it's like the airing of the grievances we have for people, because in the movie, because sometimes people don't actually die in horror movies that you really want them to die, and sometimes they do, and you're just like, that was deserved. So that's kind of
Right.
That's the I guess like the button of every episode, or just the way to cap it off. So
Man, I love
a
him,
lot
man.
of
And,
good times over
and
there.
hey, listen, Carrie, by the way, Carrie Crave Cinema is putting a link to Zach's channel in the chat right now. It's already there. Thank you, Carrie. So be sure you guys
Thanks, Carrie.
subscribe to Zach's channel, the Cherry Picker. He's already over 2,000 subs and growing quickly. So let's go. Yeah, guys, make sure you all subscribe to his channel. Click that link right now. Smash that subscribe button. He's done an episode on Cursed, which is I was so glad to see that, because it's a movie that doesn't get talked about a whole lot. It's one I really enjoy, despite all of its problems. I like it still. I still get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I love to see you did that. I think that's really cool. And then Valentine, right? And
We
Now,
love
is the
Valentine.
I love Valentine. It's like
Yeah.
one of my two favorite post-Scream films in the Scream era that are not one of the sequels is Valentine and Urban Legend. Those are my two favorite.
Very
Quality movies.
underrated. I don't like.
Yes.
I think Urban Legend was more well received, but
It was.
Valentine was torn to shreds, and
Yes.
it's got problems. I'm not saying that it's perfect or even near perfect, but it's a really fun time. And I mean, Denise Richards,
Yeah. Absolutely, man. It's fantastic. And Hayden Panettiere is in it in Valentine. We get a little right?
No, you might be thinking of Marley Shelton.
I mean, that I always say the
Jimmy-
wrong
Jimmy
name
Hicks, yeah.
every time. And Marley Shelton's who I meant. Yes, Marley Shelton is.
They're
in
both
it.
blonde. They were both in Scream 4.
Right? I know. It's like I always get it wrong every time I say it. Yeah, man, it's a really good movie. Very underrated, 100%. All right, guys. Now, what we'll do now is let's talk a little bit about some of our favorite moments in Scream history. Right? And again, guys, there are so many moments. To narrow this down to 4, 5, 6, whatever we come up with, is really, there's so many we could do. I mean, there's probably 4 or 5 moments a movie I could do, but for fun, and we can change this. And I'm not even going to order these in like 1, 2, like number 1, number 2, because to me they could all be interchangeable. If you want to, it's okay, but I'm just going to give some moments. So, what are some of the moments when you think of the franchise, Zach, that you're like, man, these are the moments I look forward to seeing? When I put in this Scream movie, I'm like just anticipating it. Love it.
Do you just want them all like laid out right here, or are we going through them one by one? I wasn't sure
I'll
how
tell
you
you what.
were wanting to.
Let's do. Yeah, good question. So let's do it like one by one. So maybe you'll give us one, and then I'll throw one out, and then we'll just kind of banter back and forth on it.
Okay. Okay, sure, yeah. I don't have an order either. I'm gonna go chronologically because that's normally how I
Okay.
do things anyway. But I'm gonna say from
Yeah.
the okay, and when you asked me this, I kind of was thinking, and like, well, is that I think most people's minds would go to like, oh, well, like the best kill or like the best like chase scene or something, and I like everyone knows like we all have the same ones.
Right.
So I mean, like personally, when you asked me this, I just wanted to kind of switch it up, and I think that like what the heart of these movies is really the characters in them,
Yes.
and we don't talk enough about like maybe like the smaller moments, or not even like smaller, but just the ones that aren't as accentuated because there's not intense like fear or murder happening in them. So that's kind of where I'm basing my list on, and for in Scream 1, I am going to choose the scene where, nothing really happens here, but Sydney comes home. This is the first act of the movie, and it's just kind of her. It's really the first time that we get to meet her, just as she's by herself, and we really understand her character and her backstory. Because up until then, we didn't really know what was going on with her, and this is kind of a testament to Wes and Kevin of how they crafted this movie, because there's it's so dense with everything that we kind of find out about her up until that point without actually knowing what happened to her. And they have this beautiful scene with like these scenic background of Santa Rosa in Sonoma County, of just this rolling landscape, and her house in the middle of nowhere as the school bus drops her off, and she looks in the mailbox, and just everything that precedes that of just her on the phone with Tatum, and just that feeling of isolation and dread. And there's this low hum, like it's building up to something happening. And there's even the moment where she opens the closet door, where you hear that, like, we're expecting something awful to happen, and it doesn't. And even the attention to detail, because I noticed this, like, this is a thing with Scream, like there's always something new that I find while watching that movie specifically. And I noticed a while back, she's walking down the stairs and she's holding the same, like the clothes that she wears in the next, like the next day at school. So just the forethought that went into the planning of like Wes Craven and the costume department. But we see her, she turns on the news, and that's where we finally find out what's been going on with her. And it's just like, it's this very private moment with this character, and it's really like the first time we bond with her. And it just caps off with that beautiful sunset before then it transitions into the call. But just that moment, that's probably my favorite moment of Sydney's.
Oh, that's awesome.
At
What a
least
great
by
memory.
herself. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, it's really well done. And and I love too the cinematography about I mean, all of Wes's cinematography I thought was top notch. And how when she's walking up the steps on the balcony talking to Tatum, and we have this wide shot of the hills behind her, and it's just gorgeous. Like this, the scenery is just as important as the shot. And it also it heightens the sense of isolation. If you think about it, when you see that she's surrounded by these hills, mountains, she's not like in a suburban neighborhood where there's 20 houses on a street. This is very much out in the middle of kind of nowhere, and that just adds a very subtle tension to what she could be experiencing coming up that night. And I love that. You know,
and like we see all these trees and everything, like the killer could be but hiding in any one of them.
Right. Any of them. Yes. He could be anywhere, could literally be there right then, and we wouldn't even know it. And I just think that's amazing. And then later on at that night when she's, it's interesting to bring up that closet scene, because when she walks away, there's a noise in the closet. You hear like a little bump, and she stops almost and looks back. I wonder if in fact Stu or Billy, whoever it was already there. If they were actually just waiting for the phone call when the sun went down, as part of their game they're going to play,
Mm-hmm.
so that when she went out on the porch, can you see me? Uh-huh. And she does the whole nose thing. And then she walks back in. He's already in the closet, as we see.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you could make the case that maybe he snuck in while she was at the other end of the porch really quick, or maybe or something. But how do you think about that? Because I've always wondered if Wes was sending us a coded message that whoever this was has been hanging out in there for like an hour.
I definitely, that's my theory, is that they had kidnapped Neil, like her father, the night before.
That's right.
And this is another thing that I had kind of noticed, because he's wearing this the night that he says that he's going to be away. There's cash on the counter. He's the same outfit that he's wearing there is the one that we see him when Stu pulls him out of the basement at the end. And I think that the reason why Billy even shows up at Sydney's house is because they both went there after they killed Casey. So Billy could distract her. That's why he turns on the music to drown out any sound of a struggle. And then that's where Stu kidnaps him. So I think at that point, they've already have access to her house because they could just take his keys and come and go whenever they please. So I think that in that regard, the next afternoon, they would have showed up at Sydney's house before she got there on the school bus, let themselves in, or at least Stu, who I think was in the closet, and waited for her there. And that's why, we hear that Marco Beltrami cue when she opens the door, but then later on when she walks back and you hear that creak just to indicate that he is in there, but she's not really, she kind of ignores it. She goes to sit on the couch and fall asleep.
Love it. And so you and I are
so many
on
layers.
the same page. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's the many layers. I've always felt that as well, and I just was curious to get your thoughts, because it just made sense, the way that it unfolded. And man, and again, you're right. This is a movie that really, after seeing it, I don't know how many times I've seen it. I've got it over 100, easy. But there are these little nuances, and they're all meaningful. And I say this kind of blanket statement about most of Wes Craven's movies in his career. He really is very intentional. Like there's when you hear something or you see something, it's really on purpose. It's very well thought out. He's not one of those directors who would just throw a set together and I'll put whatever you want. Very intentional what you see and hear.
Yeah,
and there's usually a reason.
That's the beauty of the Scream movies, because if you pay close attention, you can figure out who it is, who the killer or killers are from the beginning. It's not obvious, but it needs to make sense by the time they get revealed, because if it didn't make sense, then it obviously wouldn't be a successful movie.
Yeah, that's right. Love it. Real quick, necessary distraction. What's up, Amber's coming in with a $2 super chat. Thank you. Zack, other than Wes, who is your favorite director?
Well, I would say John Carpenter, because he very well might be, but he gets a lot of exposure. So I'm actually going to say Dario Argento.
Nice. Yeah, man.
Thank you, necessary distraction.
Yeah, thanks, Amber. We appreciate it. And if you guys have not seen his films, Argento's films, if you're wondering if that's a new name tonight, maybe you're not familiar with, maybe you're newer to the slasher genre, and that's okay. They're Italian films, and
I think most people
really
know Suspiria.
That was probably the number one. Yep, agreed.
Yeah.
Yep, Suspiria. And they're all I believe they're all pretty much from the 70s, right? I don't know if he did anything in the 80s or not. Or maybe
he did. Yeah, 70s, 80s, 90s. He's still, there's a new one coming out this year. Yeah.
Ah.
I can't say that they're as good after the 80s, but that the 70s and 80s were definitely his heyday.
His heyday, yes. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Amber. Now, getting back to some favorite moments, and we can stay in Scream because I know there's so many, and I think of like one of my favorite moments. Again, this is not even like an iconic scene. Well, it depends some may say it is, but it's Wes Craven's cameo, dude. It's it's the cameos, Fred the janitor. I mean, it was so brilliant, and it was done in the perfect movie to do it in. Like this self-aware meta kind of thing, where we saw all of these characters talking about the movies that we love, and we're watching Halloween in a movie on their television. Just so cool. And then, of course, it just made perfect sense that Wes Craven is dressing up as his own character in this film, which that same character is referenced in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and I never thought
Love
about that just being kind of an ad-lib moment, because even just going back and after the research we had done for Cursed, just finding out about the werewolf at the end flipping off Christina Ricci was something that it just happened because Derek Mears in the werewolf costume flipped off Wes Craven, and he just started laughing and just like, use that in the movie. That's perfect. And then it went into the movie. So just his ability to kind of have that sense of humor and just be like, I think let me go in them. I want to be in the movie. I'm gonna dress up as Fred the janitor.
Not you, Fred. So good. And then of course, I know we could talk about it all night long. The opening kill, and again, everyone I think is all on the same page with that. The impactfulness of that opening with Casey Becker and Steve, and I mean, just masterful, man. I mean, it's what every Scream movie since then has tried to recapture, with the exception of probably 3, because that was Cotton. We knew him. It wasn't like a celebrity cameo, and of course 5 again. She was new, so it kind of felt like that again, although she was a core member of the cast with Jenna. But which also makes me wonder about 6, because when they announced Samara, I have to tell you my first initial thought, and I'm still leaning towards it, is that she's going to be our opening celebrity kill, maybe going back to that cameo thing again like we used to do in the past. And doesn't have to be. They could work her in. She could be a killer, or she could be a CC Cooper kind of person, and where she dies. What do you think about her character in 6?
I mean, I don't know anything about her character, but just in terms of her
Like
being
the plan,
in 6,
right?
No, fair enough. I think it not so much just her, but in terms of like whatever the opening scene, whether that's a kill or not. I mean, I hope it's a kill, because I feel like that's just the spirit of the franchise. They subverted it with 5. I hope that they don't keep trying. I'd rather that they, rather than just trying to recreate the Drew Barrymore scene, they try to be more innovative and think outside the box with concepts that we've seen in other horror movies. That's why I really like the opening in Scream 2, because that's different, but it's also something that is well known within the genre. So just with whatever the opening scene of 6 is going to be, I hope that it's not a returning character, because I think that that's a waste of a returning character. It's more fun. Like you when you've developed these characters in previous movies, you want to capitalize off of that and have them in the movie. So, because already that gives you the opportunity to be a little quicker paced, because you don't have to introduce these people. We already know them, so you can do a quick reintroduction like they did at the beginning of Scream 2. Whereas if you kill off someone that we know, you're now forcing us to hang around with new characters and get to know them. And that eats up a lot of screen time, and that could then present pacing issues. So I would say, and also not only that, but just the fact of like fan favorites. Like, I've heard people say like Kirby is going to be the opening kill in 6, or just what they want. And it's like, why would you do that to her? Why would you? We have given her life, and now you're going to renege on that. Like, that to me is stupid. So I think that if we are going to do something just in terms of like a big opening kill, which I hope is far removed from the girl alone at home with the phone call ringing, it's been done to death. We don't need that anymore. Right. I realize it's part of like it's become this formulaic thing. It doesn't have to be. That to me is kind of like that and the Stab franchise are kind of like with Halloween and how Michael and Laurie were siblings, and that kind of put them in a corner of just like how far they could go with that. I feel like that could be a similar situation with the Scream franchise if they keep trying to do the same thing over and over again. So have her come in there, make something completely new and elaborate. Let that be Samara's big moment in the film, and then that's it. You know, I think that just in terms of like looking at the cast, because I mean I don't know any of the new people other than Dermot and the guy
Segarra?
who played. No, I don't know who that is, but the guy who played the father on Ready or Not.
Oh, Zerny. His last name's Zerny. It's
right.
Is it
so
Charles Zerny? I think maybe it's last name's Zerny. Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
maybe Henry
Zerny. That's it. It's Henry.
Henry
Zerny.
Okay. Yeah, but with them, like they're two established actors. Samara is an established actor. I feel that for an opening scene, like regardless of whether it's like an isolated thing or there's other people around, you're gonna want like a really strong performer to kind of deliver that. And I feel that it makes more sense to have Samara do that, like be that opening kill, rather than have her as a character who's just kind of blending into the background of, you know, already having Courtney Cox and
and Kirby.
Hayden Panettiere and the sisters who are, I feel like they're going to be the star. This is their movie. I think it's going to be two separate storylines, like one Jenna Ortega, one Melissa. So I feel like Samara, it's like it'll be too distracting if she's kind of in there with all these other people. So I think
I 100%.
My gut is telling me that Samara is an opening kill.
Yeah, same. We're locked in, brother. That's the same. The minute the announcement came out, I think I even said on the live stream that day, I said, okay, well, we got Samara back in the movie for 15 minutes, so we're gonna enjoy it, and she's gonna be I think she could be an epic opening kill. She's got she's got the name power, and she's a powerhouse actor, so she can deliver on this scene. It could be really well done, harkening back to the Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett and others in the beginning, with like we saw with Casey, in terms of performance goes, right? Performance wise, and that's what I'm excited to see. And I love Samara. I wish she was one of the final girls. I wish she was Sam or Tara or one of these other, but she's not. And like you say, I just don't see a universe where you have her as a part of the integrated cast, competing with everyone else, with Hayden, with Jenna, with Melissa, Gail. It's just too many. It's too many. So yeah, agreed 100%. I just don't see her really realistically living past the opening. But I'm okay with that, man. I'm all right with that.
I mean, even if she's the killer, she's not going to make it out of there. Like she's
right, exactly.
She's as good as dead.
She is 100%. Agree.
Yeah,
and because with her, that gives us a central cast of 14 for this movie. We had 13 and 5, that included Vince, and now we're at 14, which is, and one of my biggest issues with 5 was the lack of screen time to develop the characters. We didn't get I didn't get a sense, Zach, that I really got to know these new people, the core 4, and it just wasn't enough. It was not, and so what I was afraid of was I was saying I want 8 or 9 total, because that way we have a smaller group, more like the first movie, and you've got 3 or 4 murders, a couple of killers, and you're good. Some survivors. Yeah. But now we're at 14, right? So I figure, hey, 2 of those are going to die in the opening. I'm just going to say it could just be 1. And then 2 of those will be ghost-faced killers, maybe 3. I really want to see 3. And I'm just still a little concerned that we're going to get the development that we need still a little bit, because what are your thoughts on that?
I think that 14 is a good number. Obviously, like the first movie had the smallest cast, and those are arguably the most recognizable and most beloved characters of the franchise. But I think that there's a way to do it right and there's a way to do it wrong. And I will agree, like I'll fault this with Scream 5, is that there was a lot of superfluous characters there. Especially, I think that like probably Liv and Vince were among the most useless, and they didn't have to be. And I
Yeah.
realized that with 5 there was a lot of groundwork that needed to be done with introducing Sam, because it's these new characters you have to start off this whole movie. And this is kind of going back to what I was saying with the scene of Sydney just coming home and us really getting just marinating in everything, and her reflecting on what had happened, and getting us to kind of know who she is that way. We would never see a scene like that in a Scream movie today, because everything has to be quick paced. We got to get things out of the way. That's why even Sam's introduction in Scream 5, it's barely really a scene. It's almost like, Richie's there, she gets the phone call, I got to go to Woodsboro. And you get moments along the way, but it's, it's like this balancing act. And I think that when you do have a large cast, you have to make sure that everybody is getting equal exposure. Obviously, some people are going to get more, but if you have someone who's kind of, you're not really sure where to put them, those should be your CCs. Those should be your Sarah Darlings. They should have one scene max, maybe 2, but just one scene, which is their murder scene, that could occupy space in the movie. And that, not only does that keep the pace going because you have murders happening all throughout the movie, but also you're eliminating suspects as you go along. If we've spent absolutely no time learning who any of these people are, they're probably not the killer. And if they are, it's just that person, like the way a lot of people feel about Mickey, which I disagree with. But in terms of that, I feel like it's not a good way to kind of set up your cast. So I think that with I have no idea what they're going to do with 6, but I hope that some of the newer faces are dealt with swiftly, and they do what they have to do with them. But I don't want a situation where also 5 was, I mean, not to say it was bloodless, but by the end there wasn't really any kills, for really the last act, after Live. So it was almost not to fault that movie for its final act, but I feel like that they could have paced things a little differently, just spaced it apart, so it made the pace run a little better.
Agreed. Something else too that I think would have been much more of an impact as a fan watching it is if they had held the identity of Billy as an hallucination until the 3rd act. Because see, what I would love to have seen was Sam talking the same thing she's doing, have her do it, but don't show us Billy's reflection. So have her in the car, and you hear her talking out loud. No, stop talking to me. Shut up. I don't. I'm not gonna kill anybody or whatever. And we don't know who she's talking to. And so it's building up this suspense the whole movie, because we're dying to know who is in her head. And then when the 3rd act comes, you see her at Stu Macher's house, and then finally in the mirror we see Skeet. It's been Billy that she's been talking to. I mean, just a little change like that, because I thought, why did they reveal that so early? In the first quarter, we get Billy in the hospital mirror, and which is cool. Don't get me wrong, I personally thought it was cool, but it was really early. That's all.
I feel like it's a double-edged sword for me. I agree with what you're saying, just in terms of keeping Sam as a suspect. I think that I was always glad that they just kind of got that out of the way when they did, because it seemed like it was going to be one of these things that would become very obvious, if they didn't deal with it in the first act. But I'm sure that this is a case where there could have been rewrites that were made to kind of maneuver that to be somewhere later on, where we don't know that she's the daughter of Billy Loomis. No. I think that where the movie failed for me, not failed, but just where they kind of missed the mark, is the marketing was very heavily predicated on who's the killer? Who's the killer going to be? We've got everyone with their own individual poster holding the mask, including Sydney and Gail and Dewey, who are not going to be the killers. But just for the sake of the marketing, they're holding the mask. So that was a very interesting concept, because it felt like we're bringing it back to the mystery. We're bringing it back to the suspects. And I don't know if we're still going through the 5 things.
we're
we're
just going with the flow, man. Go ahead.
Because this might actually come up to the second moment that I really liked. But I think that would have worked well, of like keeping Sam as a suspect, of just knowing like, can we is she a reliable narrator? We know that she's the main person, but are we getting not necessarily a Jill situation again? Because obviously Sam is being shown to be, mentally not all with it. Not that I think that the killer would ever be someone, suffering from some sort of dissociative disorder or anything like that. But it would at least be a red herring that would be in the back of our minds and be like, I don't know if we can trust Sam. Like the movie is, making us, it's showing her a lot, but maybe they're trying to fool us again. At least something to keep you guessing. And I feel like that was really lacking in Scream 5. So what I wanted to say, just like the second scene, or just like the moment that I really liked, was in Scream 2 with Randy and Dewey, because I think this is a really great moment of just like furthering their character development when they're getting ice cream. Because how else do you just talk about suspects other than enjoying ice cream? And just
getting a Baskin Robbins, man.
And just talking about like, who could the killer be? Because it wasn't, and it was comical, but it wasn't done in a way that, like, say in Scream 5, when they're all sitting around in the circle in the living room and they're like, well, maybe you're the killer, maybe you're the killer. And it just, it feels so unnecessary, because I can't take that seriously. Like, if you're actually wanting to get to the bottom of things and figure out who the killer is, you're not going to openly accuse someone of being the killer in front of their face, in front of everyone else. So I feel that it worked well in that moment in Scream 2, because here are 2 people who we already know and trust. So we're already tuned in with them. Our ideals are aligned with theirs. We want to find the killer. We know that we can trust them, even though they have this banter where they're just like, maybe you're the killer. Well, maybe you are, but they're still throwing everyone else's name out there. So it's keeping the commentary going of just like, one of these people in the movie, or 2 or more, are going to be the killer, and we need to find out who it is. Whereas, I think that works really well. It doesn't work well when it's just kind of like a throwaway line of just kind of reminding us that, like, oh yeah, there's this character who hasn't said anything in a while, and they're in the scene.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm with you 100% on this, and that's why I'm hoping in 6 that they're going to kind of, we talked about earlier, it's a learning, like, with our channels, how we learn, and Guy and James are still, they haven't written a ton of movies, and Radio Silence is still kind of new in terms of bigger budget films, Ready or Not, of course, and then Scream 5. So this is their 3rd large production film. So hopefully they're going to learn from those things, and Tyler said they're willing to risk it all to subvert expectations for 6, and that they're so far down the rabbit hole of the Scream movies that everything is up for grabs. That's his direct quotes. We'll see. I say, look, that's a bold statement. If you got to back it up now. We need to see that originality, like you mentioned earlier. We need to see kind of, because what I don't want to see, man, and I'm really getting nervous, because one of my good friends, Chris, who lives in Montreal, Discover Montreal is his channel. He just came on the channel with me just a few days ago, and he's on the ground for me, getting me photos of the scenes where they're shooting. He's sending me exclusive photos so I can share them. And the thing that concerns me is how much they're using a theater for filming. It's going to be a big part of the movie, because the theater's been booked up for all of the month and all of August. And so
you think that they're going to do a Scream 2 finale again?
That's my concern.
You're not a fan of Scream 2.
I am. No, actually, I love Scream 2. Here's what I'm not a fan of is copying Scream 2. I mean, I it's one thing to pay homage, and I'm okay. I love that. I love Easter eggs and all that. But what I don't want to see them do, Zach, is kind of take Craven and Kevin's film and say, okay, we're gonna copy, paste, and then we're gonna change this scene. We're gonna move these characters. We're gonna do this a little different, because I've got this whole theory that we're gonna get a Debbie Salt character, but it's gonna be a male. It's gonna be Zerny or Dermot or John Segura, which are the three older males that they've hired recently, and are casted. And my working theory right now is, and it's early obviously, is that one of those three is a father of a victim, and they're the Debbie Salt of this movie. And so if that logic is true, and it turns out that way, we'll see. Maybe not. I hope it doesn't. But if it does, then we know that they're filming here in this La Nacional. They've got it all boarded up. This is where the stab posters and everything are here on these on the G display. This is the theater there.
So they're still focusing on the Stab franchise.
Yes, they are. So these are actual pictures from Montreal he sent me. And if you look at the G on this G side, those are Stab movie posters. They've already got them on the wall there, framed.
And is it Stab 1 or is it Stab?
It's Stab 4 or 5, 4, 3, 2, and I think they're all there. And this La Nacional is a theater. They've booked this theater all the way through for all the months of July and August, and he said that this particular location is extremely popular. So they have all of it boarded up, so you can't see in. This is like a huge venue there in Montreal, and he said in the summertime this place is banging like all the time. And he said that it's completely shut down until September. So they've rented this thing out for an extensive amount of filming, Zach, and they've rented another theater, the Metropolis, and this one looks much like the Royale in Scream 2 with the banner marquee out front. So the thought is that they're going to shoot the exteriors here, and they're going to shoot the interiors here, which, again, if you look at G, those are the interiors at the bottom. That's what it looks like inside. And it's not an actual movie theater. It's a stage, but they can build a screen and make it a movie theater real easy. And the other idea, Zach, is this. What if it's not a movie theater, it's a stage theater, and it's a Broadway production of Stab. It's New York City. What's native to New York is the theater, the Broadway. So what we're going to see is we're going to see a stage production and not a movie of Stab. That's why the posters are up, though. It's paying homage to the franchise. And then we have the third act happen just like it did in Scream 2 in a theater. And I don't know how. I'm not a fan of that, Zach. I'm just being honest.
I mean, no. I hear you, because it's almost like they're just like Scream 5 was sort of their homage to Scream 1, and now Scream exclamation is the homage to Scream 2.
Yeah.
I mean, that is. I didn't know any of this until you brought it up, and I will say that I'm disappointed because I want them to be done with Stab. I want them to move on from it.
I do too.
Stab was something that was created at the beginning of Scream 2 to parody the idea of sequels, and then unfortunately, just given what Kevin's trajectory would have been with 3, it doesn't sound like Stab was going to be involved in that either way. I don't know if what he had planned. I mean, you probably like the Kevin Williamson 3 just because it involves Stu. But I don't necessarily think that would have been a great idea. It obviously was just a kind of like a working blueprint of a story idea. But it felt like when they brought in Aaron Kruger for 3, they really doubled down on the Stab franchise of it all. And it almost like it was like the Michael Myers and Laurie Strode are siblings of Halloween 2, or just like, we're now fixed in this. We have to keep going. And they could drop it at any time. There's no need to I mean, the new movie 5, like, it at least works within like the premise of like what the killer's motives were. It worked there, but at the same time, at the end of 5, I kind of saw that as being a metaphorical death of the Stab franchise, especially with Gail's line at the end, just being like, "I'm not writing about them. Like they can die in anonymity. I'm going to write about something else." So that was their gateway right there to just drop it, let it go, because I am so sick and tired of the Stab franchise just being part of the Scream franchise, because it wasn't a huge part of Scream 2. It was the opening scene and then a little bit of discourse in the classroom right after that. I don't think it comes up at any point other than, you know, when Tori Spelling has her interview and they're watching the scene there, but it didn't occupy the movie, you know. It feels like that's you can't really at this point have the Scream franchise without having the Stab franchise, and it doesn't have to be that way. So this is disconcerting for me, because I don't want, even if it's a Broadway musical, I mean, the different, but you know, it's just a nuance of telling the same story. And that's, I'm right there with you. That makes me nervous.
It's nervous. It makes me very uneasy.
Unless like what's happening is that Tara is like, you know, she's Sydney in Scream 2. She's in theater. And I mean, or I guess it could be Sam. I would assume it's Tara, though.
I would think Tara too.
Tara's probably the thespian of the two sisters. That it's, you know, something akin to that. Yeah. I mean, I'll reserve judgment until after I see it. And you know, so far they, you know, even though everyone's made mistakes, like not just Radio Silence and the writers but like Wes Craven as well, even though I feel like a lot of that is just because his hands were tied by the Weinsteins and a lot of those movies.
Yes.
But I think that's troubling, because I think they should be done with the Stab franchise. Just get it, like give it the old heave ho, get it out of there. It's bad for business.
Right. I agree, man. I 100%. I was really saying, man, maybe we won't get like, if you want to tip the hat to Stab, maybe just like have him driving down the road and there's like, you see a marquee, it says like, you know, Stab 9 showing, and there's something like, oh, I'm not going to be seeing that. Just like a little fun little, you know, if you want to acknowledge it, but that's it. Let's don't actually do anything with it. Let's don't have a Stabathon like Scream 4. Let's just don't do any of that mess. Just get away, do something new.
The thing that like bothers me the most, and this is just me, I know other people have brought this up, and I've had a lot of people argue this with me as well, is just the fact that in 5, the writers there's this hole in continuity now, because they've now said that Sidney Prescott was in every movie except for the Stab 8, which is we already know is not true based on information that we learned in Stab or Scream 4 when Jenny Randall says that no, Sidney Prescott, they couldn't use her character after 3 because she threatened to sue. And I've received so many comments from people just being like, well, no, that just means that they can't use her story. Like they can still use Sidney Prescott. They just have to make up new things. And I'm just like, that's how you get sued. Like you're basically just mixing it up. Like if you I mean, it's whatever happens to someone in real life is public domain. Like that's why there's biopics out there. So like that's why there is a Stab 1, 2, and 3 based on Scream 1, 2, and 3. And the Stab 3 that we see in Scream, like the Return to Woodsboro movie that they're making, I mean, it's not specifically set out there, but I feel that what had happened is that the studio paid Sidney Prescott to use her likeness in this story. And that's why all of a sudden at the age of 20 or however old she is in Scream 3, she's got this land in the middle of the canyon, this huge property and she works as in a call center. Like she can't afford that, you know, like, so she obviously bought that with the money, which she took because she figured after the events of Scream 2, this is the best way I can isolate myself from another killer. So sorry, I'm getting off topic here, but that was one way that they kind of disrupted the continuity of the Stab like the franchise within the franchise. And then also when Wes says, my mother was a character in one of the sequels, and it's just like, when? Because we know that by the end of Scream 4, there was only 7 stab movies, and this one in Scream 5 being the 8th one, which has nothing to do with anything.
Nope.
Where did it? There was never a stab movie made about the events of Scream 4, it seems. So it's just like Judy. The only way that Judy could be a character is if she was in the new stab movie, and at that point, why would they put Judy in a stab movie where they would then have to, like, the studio would have to pay her to, be able to use her in that movie? So there wasn't a lot of thinking, and I feel like that, like, they got a little overzealous with, like, we got to make it about stab, and it's just like, well, you could have at least thought it out a little better, like, have like a franchise Bible and pay attention to the.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's just, see, those are the kind of little attention to details that Wes would never miss.
Never
No million years would he mess that up. No way.
He loved these movies, and it's
yes,
like, even like listening to commentaries of just everything, and this is where kind of like what my Who Killed Who would come in, because I think it was like on the Scream 3 commentary, and he was just talking with Marianne and I think it was Patrick, and they're just about how they kind of planned out the Cotton Weary scene at the beginning, because at that point they were still of the mindset that there was 2 killers, so they were just kind of like, we had to frame everything in a way and do this, and we had lots of meetings about planning this out. So he clearly he gave a shit. He there's a lot of attention to detail. And I'm not saying that Radio Silence doesn't have that attention to detail, but they don't have Wes's attention to detail. The writers don't have Kevin's attention to detail. And, at this point, I feel like there's probably more people that don't care than there are people that do. So it's one of those things where it's like,
it's kind of sad.
We're going to do what we do. Yeah,
I know it is. It's kind of oh man, come on guys, let's do this thing, man. It just, like you say, it doesn't take a whole lot of research to just sit down and watch and listen and pay attention and like, oh, okay, let's be
hire
consistent.
me. I'm available.
Dude,
I can be your
right?
consult.
I was gonna say, you and I and probably everybody on this live stream could literally consult on this stuff when we know these movies inside and out. But yeah, so I'm just hoping. I want to see a Kicktail original Scream, a Radio Silence Scream film that they leave their mark on, because their mark's not really on 5, if you ask me. That's an homage, a love letter to Wes, and I don't think it really did a lot to move the franchise forward. So I'm hoping that with 6. But when I see these pictures and I'm learning this, it makes me nervous. That's the word. It just, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm still excited, but it just makes me a little bit nervous, and that's all. When I see them at the theater and they're spending all this time at the theater. One thing that is cool, though, I will share with you that you may not know, is that they're working also at Mel's. Do I have a picture of this? Oh yeah, they're also working at the sound stages here in Montreal. This is right outside of downtown. And they're building sets there in these stages, on these sound stages. And they have built a house. Chris was telling me a house has been built there that has a wraparound porch, and it really fits the description of Kirby Reed's house in Scream 4. And so it's got my mind going, thinking that we could be seeing some nightmare sequences for Kirby, possible flashbacks or nightmare sequences to the house that night. And what if,
or
Zach,
just seeing what if she, like, how she survived and like pulled
how
herself.
she survived. Yeah, exactly. We may see a scene of like her after Charlie stabs her. What happens next? Does she, rip off her shirt and tie a tourniquet around her stomach, or whatever, that kind of stuff? That's a possibility.
I mean, I feel that, after listening to the commentary on 5 of just how they broached the subject of Billy hallucinations, and I think it was Kevin who was just like, this is really ballsy, but you know what, do it. Like, it's going to be one of those things. So I feel like if that's kind of I don't necessarily think that the Billy hallucinations, like, it was quite jarring the first time I saw it, but I've kind of I've warmed up to it at this point. It doesn't distract too much from the whole movie for me, but I feel like that might be one of the things that they hold over for for 6 of just like, we've never seen flashbacks before. We've never had nightmares. Let's incorporate these things into the franchise, because up until this point, even considering the hallucinations, Scream has always been very grounded in the present. So it is a bit of a risk to take to do that. But like you said, of just like what, how they wanted to kind of subvert your expectations, that might be one of the ways that they do it.
Yeah, it could be. C-Man, what's up, Chris? Zach and Craven would be great screenwriters. Man, I guarantee you, Zach and I in a room for a couple of weeks, we could bang out a script. I'm telling you right now.
You know what? I'll do it for free. If they want, like,
same.
Just as a consultant, just hire me for free. I will consult on your movie. You don't even, I don't even need to go down there. You don't have to fly me there. You can just call me and ask me anything, and I'll fill you in.
That's right.
Literally, I mean, if they're watching,
You better believe it, man. Same goes to here. We can plug in right here and do this virtually as much. Yeah, whatever we need to do.
Yeah,
we'll make it there.
I will make the time. Just make sure that my name is credited at the end.
Yes, indeed. So those are, there's a lot of promise for 6 again, and so and I always tell people, like, some people say, oh, are you like, are you down on 6? I'm like, no. I'm very optimistic. I'm very excited, but I also have to be honest. That's the thing I always tell everyone here. I'm always going to be honest with you. I'm not going to say something I think people want to hear, Zach. Because that's doing a disservice. I pride myself on being open and transparent, very honest. So if I have a concern, I'm not going to say you should have it. I'm just saying, here's a concern I have if I see one, and I'll let you guys know. And that's what Zach and I are doing now. We're just really talking about some things that make us a little nervous about the movie. But Zach, you would agree that we're both very excited still. So,
Absolutely.
Right? We're both very much looking forward to it.
Not to bring it back to Halloween or anything, but I'm more so excited for the new Scream than I am the new Halloween. We'll just put it that way. Like my mind is already like it's in March of 2023. So.
We're moving past October, man. But the train's set for March 31st. I love it. Something else too, man. I was going to show you. You mentioned it earlier. So of course we know we got the whole chair leak by Melissa Barrera's boyfriend or fiance. I'm not sure which it is, but her partner she's with. He sent this thing out on Instagram. Immediately it was taken down like just minutes later, and I showed this picture because if you see there in the middle of the 2 slashes, there is a 6. And if you can't, and some people say their eyes don't quite focus on it. So what I did was I created this picture. I showed it earlier this week. I literally took and went to Microsoft Paint and colored in the 6 side by side. You see that? There is clearly a 6 there. And so then I went, and again, I'm not an artist. Like my talents, that God didn't give me talents in the artist area, where as far as drawing, creating designs, it's just not my thing. But I did my best to replicate this, and so here's what I think it looks something like this. There it is. That's very as close as I could get it. So now I put the thumbprints in, the bloody thumbprints, as exclamation points. Just I have this version and the one without it. But Zach, listen, man, in Scream 5, the chair revealed all. They leaked the same picture, somebody did, and we saw it was going to be Scream. There was no 5 after it. And then now we have this logo, or approximately this logo. How do you feel about this, man? Because the one thing, Zach, I have been saying since February is I don't want it to be named Scream 2. I'm like, I don't care what the subtitle is, like the cheesiest Screaming Forever. I don't really care how bad it is. Just don't give me Scream 2, because we have that. We've got a Wes Craven film called Scream 2. How do you feel about this, dude?
I mean, this is just confusing. This is like Halloween H2O levels of confusion of just like, is it H20? Is it Halloween H2O 20 years later? Like, it's just more unnecessary. Like, if anything, it creates I don't know. I don't want to presume to think that I know how like marketing companies think and then what works for them. But I mean, also I see I see the 6, but you could even like have a 4 in there too. I hope that that's not the title.
Right.
I honestly I would just prefer they call it Scream 6. I don't care.
Me too.
Because I asked people, I put a poll out there, and I had a lot of people saying it wouldn't make sense to call it Scream 6 at this point. I'm just like, sure it would, because we all refer to Scream 2022 as Scream 5 anyway. That it would make less sense to call it Scream 2, as in like with the Roman numerals, than it would to call it Scream 6. And I feel like just because based on like movies in the 80s where they had really long titles, like A Nightmare on Elm Street, for The Dream Master, or something, just like that's a lot of words. It's hard to get it on a marquee or things like that. Whereas like the Scream franchise is very lucky because it doesn't need to have subtitles. It could just be Scream 5, Scream 6, or the 5 Cream, which, I mean, that's another thing. But I mean, like, you could easily just do, if not like Scream with like they did with Scream 2 with a giant 6 behind it, or just a 6 beside it, or a 6 in place of one of the letters. I think that the 6 behind it would probably be the best route to go, because if you look at franchises like Fast and the Furious, like this rule doesn't apply to them. It's there's people are still going to these movies and dishing out money hand over fist year after year. So clearly, like, if you can create a recognizable brand and give it a simple title, something like Scream, that will be enough. And if anything, that will also benefit like the property that you already own, because then people who haven't seen the earlier Scream movies will be like, okay, well, now I got to catch up. Now I got to go watch Scream 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Bingo.
2022. You can continuously, I know Paramount loves to do this, of just putting out box sets after box sets of just, selling the same product to people over and over again without really adding anything new to it. I don't think that they own the 4th one. That's the only issue. But I mean, like, just buy it. Just buy the rights to it.
Absolutely.
But Scream is one of those titles that you don't need any. It doesn't need to be like Scream Kills or Scream: The Return of Stu Macher, for example. It just needs to be Scream number.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely. The 2 exclamation points or whatever, it's just like, what is that? How do I classify this now? Is it like Scream, or is it Scream 2, or is it Scream 2-6? Like, it's
2-6, 26.
Yeah, it's too much. It's
I
like
agree.
they're being counterproductive in trying to avoid something. They're going to create that problem for them. But who knows? We'll see how it works out for them. I hope that they change it before its release.
I do too, buddy. I'm like, don't be too cute. Like, don't get so like, we're just gonna be cute and we're gonna do exclamation points, but we're gonna hide a 6 in the background, and that's what they've done. I don't know, man. I just can.
It's like they're trying to satisfy everyone,
and
that's the problem, because when you try to make everyone happy, nobody's happy. So they're trying to make people happy who just want, like, the studios who are like, we just want it called Scream because that's what's going to make them money. But then you also satisfy the people who want Scream 6 because you hit a little 6 in there. But then also the people who were just like, well, this is Scream 2 because the last movie was Scream. So it's just like you're catering to all these people and nobody likes it. If you do like it, I'm sorry, but I don't share your mindset.
Yeah, I just see it differently. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't like it either. 100%.
Just pick a lane. That's all you have.
Pick it. Yeah. Bingo. Just go one way, and then we'll either accept it or we won't like it. But here's the decision I've made is I'm just calling it Scream 6, dude. That's all. I'm calling it Scream 2022. I've never called that anything but Scream 5, and I still do. Yeah. So it's Scream 5. That's what it is. And this will be Scream 6, and it'll be Scream 7, and to me, it just makes the most sense.
I will call it whatever algorithmically on YouTube. I've got the little tool that says what
Right.
keywords work best, and if it tells me that Scream 6 works best, then Scream 6 it is.
That's
I'm not gonna be using exclamation points and little hidden sixes and stuff.
Exactly. I'm not either.
Mhm.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to do a quick shout out to somebody here, one of my longtime supporters here, subscribers to the channel. Where are you at here? I meant to flag it. Give me a second here. Here we go. It's Tori, Horror Tori. What's up, Tori? Says my favorite horror movie is What a Way to End My Birthday Night with My Two Favorite Horror YouTubers. Oh, that's awesome, Tori. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
you.
Tori.
That's so cool. You know what, Zach, I'm gonna put you on the spot, man, because I know this is our first time together. I may be taking a little bit too much liberty, but I'm the kind of guy here, man, where I just keep it very, very real with people, and I want to sing Happy Birthday. Now, you can join me or not. It's you don't have to. Don't feel like you have to join us, but I bet you, because Tori says that we're her favorite two YouTubers, horror YouTubers. So I'm just thinking it might be a neat little special way to end her birthday night if we sing Happy Birthday. What do you think, man?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do this. Tori, we're going to sing this to you, my friend, and we're going to be in different times and delays. It's okay. We're just going to let it roll, and it's going to be gorgeous. So here we go. You ready, Zach? Let's do this. So 3, 2, 1, go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tori. Happy birthday to you. Yay, and many, many more, Tori. Yay, congratulations on another year. And for being here on your birthday. What a way to end your day. That's awesome. So we hope you enjoyed that, Tori, from Zach and myself. Happy birthday. Lovely.
Happy birthday.
Love it. All right. So, okay, now we're going to have to start wrapping up, guys. I can't keep, unlike Stephen Orth, I don't have Zach duct taped to this chair in front of his laptop. It's Scream 1. So, to be respectful of Zach's time, we're going to need to start heading down that road that to kind of close things up. So let's go. Zach, how about are you good for 10 more minutes? Is that going to be all right? We go about.
Sure. I'll go. Like, if you want to finish the 5 points or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. We'll do that. I love it.
Or whatever.
All right.
Whatever you want to.
No, that's great. If you're up for it, then that's great. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to get back now to our finishing up our 5 points. And just want to remind you guys, if you have any questions for Zach you want to make sure we talk about, send your super chats now, because when we finish these 5 points, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. So this is your last chance to start sending those in. All right, so Zach, you're up next. Let's you start us off with your next favorite moment.
So my next favorite moment is Gail's kind of turn in Scream 2. Of there's the classic moment after Randy is unfortunately taken out, and just her I just want to find am I allowed to swear?
Go ahead. In this case, we'll allow it. Let's go. Let's do it.
I just want to find this fucker,
Yep.
Because that's really the biggest Gail transformation of her entire character arc across the franchise. So I think that's my favorite moment, at least of hers. And just being able to like just see this character who is presented as the ruthless reporter,
Yes.
finally find her heart and her purpose of just something greater than just being in it for herself.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the true fun of that movie, of just watching her grow as a human.
Absolutely. What a jump. And the whole arc for her, like, it's just really good writing and it's good direction. It's Kevin and Wes, man. And even in Scream 3 when it was Aaron Kruger and Wes cuz Wes was also writing. He even said like he would do writing with Aaron. He'd lock Aaron in a closet or not a closet, but lock him in a room, office to write, just write, and then he'd bring him to Wes. Wes would look at him and he'd write it and he'd redline it and it was a collaboration for three 'cause they were writing it as they were filming it. Thank you, Weinsteins. Anyway, don't get me started on them. So, I said all that to say that the character arc for Gale is so on point, Zach,
Yeah.
because all through those movies, all four of them, three included, and I guess you could say five, but really to me it's the four. You see her change. All of them, they just all grow. Sydney's not the same as one or two. Every movie she's growing. She's changing in different ways, and man, I love that about this. Some movies, some directors, they just we want that same character every time.
Yeah.
No, that's not the case there.
Well, I mean, like even like compared to Laurie Strode, who arguably is now three different versions of that character. None of them have been consistent. I mean,
Sure.
other than like the ones between like the last two movies have been the same character, but it's just like that's not the same character that we see in H2O or Halloween 2 or any of that. So it's just the fact that I mean, like you have, I mean, and not to also like you mentioned Kevin and Wes, but just also like Courtney Cox's performance in the role as well, because it's just like at this point now, like I mean, not only just like a horror franchise, but any movie franchise for the same actress to come back in 6 movies in a row and play the same character is unprecedented. And I feel like I know Gale so much more, and Sydney too, like the all of these characters than I do like characters like these other characters in other franchises, because they're essentially hitting the reset button every time that they show up. And this is the same person that we met in that neon green pencil skirt suit combo in the first movie. So, kudos to her and everyone involved in bringing that character to life. That's where I see it.
Love it. 100%, man. For me, on 2 real quick, I'll give mine in addition to all this is, and this is going to be one, it's more of the popular ones, but it's one of my favorites. It's what I think is maybe, possibly, not saying it is, but it could be the best chase scene in the franchise. And it's in 2, and it's when Gale and Dewey are in the classroom. Ghost faces up in the window. The whole thing where Dewey tumbles down the stairs, Gale runs. She's in the studio it's a cat and mouse game, almost like in between the
maze,
soundproof things. The maze, yes. I'm telling you, that scene, Zach, to this day, I feel the tension in it. Even though I know what's going to happen, I still get the tense, it gets intense. And I think it's one of the best chase scenes in the franchise. What do you think about that scene, man?
I'd say it's probably one of the best chase scenes ever. I agree. I think that it's certainly heightened by the score, Marco Beltrami, in that particular moment, but also just the way that it's, we're kind of watching it. It's all encompassing. Like Wes Craven is shooting this scene from almost every angle. We're in front of her, we're behind her, we're maneuvering with her around hallways and corners. And just that moment when she finally gets into the room and slams the door and then realizes, shit, there's no lock. And then she's just left there to kind of wait. So yeah, that's a beautiful scene.
It is awesome. All right, let's go to Scream 3, I believe now. Yeah, it was Scream 3. What was your?
I wasn't doing it by movie. I was just doing it kind of.
Then never mind. Scratch that.
Because I already had 2. I already picked 2 from Scream 2.
That's true.
If you want, we can do it for. I can find one for 3. I don't.
Oh no. Dude.
I was gonna say for 2. Like my third one that was in 2. I was going to say Mickey's reveal, like that segment, not necessarily his reveal, because I don't think that Mickey turning out to be the killer is necessarily all that like surprising or anything, but it's more so just like what he does in that scene, because this is possibly, you know, I already talked about like Sydney's moment in the first one, but just like in this moment of that uncertainty and the trust issues that she has with Derek based on Billy before him, of just like boyfriend killer, and that's, you know, turns out to be her fatal error, or at least for Derek, because she wasn't able to trust him. Like, who knows how the situation would have gone if she had just untied him. Mickey probably would have shot him anyway, but he was able to use that against her. And this is why I think that Mickey is the best, is my favorite at least, is because he, you know, gets in her head the way that nobody else does. I mean, like, I feel that all of the other killers, it's, you know, like we see in Scream 3 of Roman expositing and Sydney just being like, okay, like, can we get this over with? I've heard this before. So I feel like with that situation, like that, I actually was scared for her, not just physically, because Timothy Olyphant in that movie was like a formidable threat, but just psychologically, because the damage that he was doing to her there really kind of set the tone for the next movie, Scream 3, of just her self-isolation and, you know, not being able to be in the public eye and just being in hiding, which, I mean, I feel like obviously there could have been love Scream 3, but you know, there could have been a better way to present that story, because she did get such a limited window. But still, just in terms of her character grappling with that and growing as a character, because like you said, you know, she's not the same Sydney every time she comes back, and that was probably her most dramatic transition, and it was based on that scene, because you'll notice, like, once Mrs. Loomis shows up, you know, she's God. I mean, there's a struggle, but she's not, you know, she's able to hurl insults and just, you know, be condescending to her and say whatever she needs to say to, you know, keep her at bay. But that's right. I just like that interaction, which is because I don't really care for Derek all that much. Like, you know, he's fine, but you know, what he does for that, both like him and Mickey, like for Sydney in that moment. So.
Absolutely. Love that, man. It's a great movie. I mean, let's be honest. Scream 2 was, in my opinion, was a very, very good movie.
I don't know. I'm so confused I'm confused by any hate that any of these movies get, but I'm especially with Scream 2, because I feel like it's just so well crafted. And I feel that, like, despite people saying that the pace is wrong, I feel that it's paced great, because there's so many intricate set pieces throughout. They're not, you know, like, even like in the middle of the movie, you know, we're not waiting for things to happen, and even when things are slower, we're getting so many great character moments, like Gail and, you know, Randy and Dewey discussing suspects or who's going to be killed next, or things like that. So I don't find a dull moment in that movie at all.
I don't either, man. And I love Cotton Weary. I love Liev Schreiber in that movie. He was, you know, he was obviously the big red herring, but he was a great actor. I love his scenes. He pulled off that red herring role masterfully, and I wanted more from him. I enjoyed him so much, and it's a movie that I enjoy thoroughly. It might, I mean, I'd be hard pressed to. There's a few, but in the horror genre now, finding a sequel that's as strong as a follow up to the original as Scream 2. I'm not saying there's not one, but it's going to be hard to find one, I think, because it's a pretty darn high bar.
Yeah, I think Child's Play 2 and Evil Dead 2 come to mind.
Those are
me,
good.
But I would still take Scream 2 over that.
Yep. Same. It is a classic. Yeah, it's a classic. All right, so is it my turn or your turn? I forgot.
I believe it's
my
yours.
turn, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you were doing Scream 3 or just something.
I got a few. So for I kind of bounce around a little bit. So I think for me, my next one is I'm gonna jump actually to Scream 4, because I want to talk about one of my favorite reveals in the franchise. It is the reveal of Jill Roberts as the mastermind of 4, because I personally did not expect it. It shocked me when that mask came off that it was her, and I've loved it ever since. I remember sitting there in the theater thinking, "Oh my gosh, what's happening? It can't be her. Like this is this seriously what?" And then the whole she Wes brought us back to brutality in 4. We got the Olivia kill, which was just, I'm like, oh, Wes is back. Like because in Scream 3 they used the least amount of blood of any of the films because of the climate, the whole thing we know that happened. So they had the studio, Weinstein's had him dial it way down. So going from that to this, where we've now got this, knife through the hand, which Radio Silence gave us again with Tara, which was their homage. They said it was an homage to 4. And we see the knife through the hand, the whole disembowelment on the bed. I'm like, whoa, Wes is back. And then we have, the Anthony Perkins knife stab to the forehead. Sick kill. Love that. Anyway, I'm rabbit trail a bit, but my point is, when Jill at the end of this thing reveals it's her, and you see how she's manipulating every single person in her life, and then she self-mutilates with the scratching and the hair and the self-stabbing. This was a new level, Zack, of like brutality and depravity that we have not seen in the franchise. Because even with Billy and Stu, they stabbed each other, not themselves. So this was like, woo.
It definitely heightened the movie in that moment. I mean, I've made it no secret. Scream 4 is the bottom of my ranking. Still love it, but I feel like that moment that you're talking about, the self-mutilation, definitely heightens it, because I remember seeing that the first time in the theater and just thinking like, this is it. This is how the movie's going to end. Like this is because this is subverting expectations, and just because I mean, I didn't know at that moment, like, is Sydney alive? Is Sydney dead? I was more like, I was worried about her, but at the same time, it's just like, is this how the movie's going to end? And then they undid all of it in the last scene, and it's so unfortunate. Like, it just really like caps off the movie for me, of just like my final opinion of just like, you almost went there, and this is no fault of obviously Kevin or Wes, because they've spoken out about it. But I feel that if that had been the ending of the movie, the sequel potential, like the possibilities of where to go from there, are endless. And I think that's where, you really could have dropped the Stab franchise of all of it, of just like, you have a new final girl / villain with Jill, and not that Jill's my favorite, she's not my least favorite. Like I find her wholly entertaining, but I definitely think that there was a lot that they could have done with a Scream 5 if she had still been around. So that's I agree, that's probably one of my favorite parts of that movie.
Yes, 100%, man. Okay, number 4, Zack, your 4th favorite. I'm dying to know.
Is this 5 or is
this 4 or 5? You know what? I mean,
because I think 5. I did okay, because I had Sydney.
Yes.
In the first one, then I had a whole bunch packed into it.
Randy Dewey, I think you're right.
Seeing Gale Weathers' turn, and then the Mickey part. So, this is okay. I mean, this could be considered like cross sequel moments, but I mean, like, more specifically, this is going to be in the new movie, and I think that's when Sydney and Gale come together, because every movie, it's been a pattern. We've where it's the first 2 were getting hit in the face. The third one was the awkward, like, oh, how you been? Like, hello. I'd even say I feel like their interactions, or like their first meetings, get better with every movie, because it's almost like the very first Scream is very cartoonish with, I'll send you a copy, and then, did you get that on film? Or it's like, yes, I got that on film. Yeah. And then like 3, because it's just the way that both of them play it, and obviously the direction. And I do like in 4, because this is probably one of the moments where I really wish that they had done more with Gail in that movie, because when she goes to the bookshop and there's almost this like quiet indignation on her face of just not even so much of like jealousy of Sydney, but just more so of her current situation of just being this small town sheriff's wife.
Yep.
And watching Sydney just reaping all of the success that should be hers, that she should be able to have. And it's not that she's not supportive of Sydney, but there's this friction between them that I noticed in that scene where she's like, well, like I haven't read the book yet, but it looks like you're doing, it's just like awkward small talk. And then Sydney and Gail hug and just like, good to see you. And then literally, like, I love how Sydney, I mean, I don't love this for Gail, but she kind of like pushes Gail aside because she sees Dewey come in and just like, Dewey, like just such a more
true.
like welcoming,
Right.
like, hey, like the wife, yeah. and I feel, I mean, like I feel it on both ends of their characters, because like there's trepidation. They don't have a good history, despite
That's
that
true.
they've been in these situations, and that
Right. They've
really
always kind of.
speaks to, yeah, like it really
Yeah.
speaks to their lives outside of the Scream movies, because I feel like Gail, like, it makes sense for Gail to always be there because this is her bread and butter. Like, her life revolves around the stab murders. And for Sydney, and we especially see this, like, in the new movie, but every new movie that she comes in, it's just one small part of her life. Her life goes on after these movies occur. And
That's right.
I'm sure that like because she hasn't even kept in touch with Dewey when they have the call. It's been so long since I've heard from you. So even though we see these relationships and we spend so much time with them, this is a fraction of each one of these people's lives. That when Sydney shows up in Gail's town, and there's obviously this, not like I said, jealousy, but just like you're living the life that I want. And it's in 5 when they finally have that meeting, and it's almost like all of the bullshit is set aside. Like, there's no longer any hard feelings. There's no jealousy over where someone's career is versus the other. It's just like, we're here because of Dewey. And it's probably like it was like the part in the movie that like kind of crushed me the most. Like, I wouldn't even like even like during his kill, I was just like, this is kind of expected. I never thought that it wouldn't happen, but it didn't affect me until I saw Sydney show up and just be there for her. And I was just like, I love that, because it was just like, this is like 5 movies. This is 25 years in the making of these frenemies really like actually genuinely coming together. Because even after the fact, when Gail says, I wish I'd never written that book about your mother, and it's almost like, because they'd never really addressed it after the fact. So that was a nice touch that I will give credit to the writers of Scream 5 of just acknowledging that, and just like Sydney sort of forgiving her in that moment and just being like, this is not, you didn't do this. You didn't
do this.
It was Billy, although it was Roman. However you want to spin it.
Technically, it's really Roman. But
I mostly looked at that as just like it was like them making peace of this thing that had always been hanging over them for 4 movies at that point, and they're just like, we dealt with it, and now it's just like, I want to see more of. I want to see more of them just like hanging out and being buddy. Obviously, like, Nev Campbell's not going to be in the movie, but I hope that they know how important Gail is to this franchise and don't think that she's expendable, because there's so much more to. There's more stories to tell. We'll just put it that way.
I think it would be. I agree. I think it would be a huge mistake if they kill Gail in this movie. If they kill Dewey in 5, and then to turn right around and kill her in 6, I think it would be a massive mistake, and I'm with you, man. They got to keep her alive, let her survive. And speaking of Sydney, man, now I don't expect her to be in the movie. I did videos here covering her comments at the Comic Cons, everything. That's all at the channel, and I've talked about it on live streams prior to tonight. But I will tell you this: my buddy Chris in Montreal, who I've been talking about earlier, gave me these pictures, he's hooking me up with the info. He is doing because she's rumored to be filming there. If she is going to be doing it, the rumor is the 28th, 29th, and 30th coming up this week. And then I noticed that she canceled her Comic-Con, MonsterCon appearance on August the 10th through 12th for filming reasons. And she's saying that they said it's because she's filming Twisted Metal, the new show for net that she's going to be in. I'll take it at face value that maybe so, but here's what he's doing. He's going to do his very best the next week to try and find out, because he's got some connections. We're not going to say who, but he's got some connections that are, one of them actually is an assistant director in the film. He actually is working on the set in Montreal, and so he's got some connections. And he's trying to find out if Nev is going to be there, if he gets a date and time when she's coming. And if that happens, again, I'm not expecting this, but I'm just saying, Zach, if it turns out that she really is in it and this is a smoke screen, then he's going to be going to the airport. He's going to be scouting, scoping. He knows the condos that, like right now, he already knows where. He knows now where Gail's staying, where Courtney is staying in Montreal. He actually knows the condominium building that she's in now, and in the penthouse. And so he knows that. He knows where that picture of what was her name, Melissa and Jenna, that came out on Twitter about a few weeks ago, having dinner there. He knows that. He knows the location. My point is, the reason I'm bringing this up is he knows a lot of the information. He doesn't know everything, but if he can get a picture of Nev on the ground in Montreal, he's going to send it to me. And then him and I are basically going to talk about what we're going to do with it. Because if we have this image, and maybe the only people that have it, at least for a minute, because our theory is if this happens, Zach, it's going to leak. There's no way that a hotel person, a driver, a crew member, someone's going to get a shot of her, and it's going to get out, I believe. And however, I try to be very responsible with this channel. I don't do spoilers here, anything that's intentional. We talk theories, but not spoilers. So Zach, I'm going to ask you the question. I have a poll up on my channel. If there was solidified proof that Nev is in the movie, would you want to know, or would you want to be surprised? And everyone has their own opinions on it. What would you feel?
I mean, based on if she even is in it and just like how they're going about hiding this, I don't want to know, because clearly there's a reason that her being in the movie is being kept under wraps. I personally don't think she's in the movie. When news of 5 came out, and both her and David Arquette, said a very similar thing. I'm just like, I haven't heard the phone ring, and it was like verbatim. They both said the same thing, and I'm just like, bullshit. Yeah. They're not telling the truth. And I knew that they were going to be in the movie, and it was still like filming hadn't started yet. So there was, we're already deep into production at this point. And she's said that, she didn't like their offer. She turned it down. So to me, like, that's not something that the Spyglass, the studio, is going to allow to kind of be the narrative behind her surprise being in the movie, because it makes them look bad that they weren't willing to cough up the money that she wanted. So I can't see any situation of that, they would want to save face as quickly as possible, and if they did pay her the amount, that would be big news.
Yes.
Everyone would know that Sydney was going to be in the movie, Nev Campbell was going to be in the movie. I think that the offer was made a long time ago,
right,
and it wasn't until however long, it was like a month or a month and a half ago at some convention where Nev Campbell started telling people, I'm not going to be in the movie. They made an offer and I turned it down. I don't think that had just happened then. I think that it had probably happened several months earlier, or like at least a month earlier at that time, because you have to like look at what news did we hear. I don't know if it was right before that or right after it, is that Hayden Panettiere had signed on, and that she was going to have a relatively larger role. So I think that what had happened is that several months prior to Nev Campbell coming out and saying that she wasn't going to be in it, that they had gone back to the writers and been like, we don't have Sydney, where you have to take her part out. And if her part in the movie was a lot larger than it was going to be in 5, like Nev Campbell said, that they're like, okay, well, we got to go back to the drawing board. What can we do? And they're like, how about we make this Kirby? Because we've already in the universe said that she's alive. So they've just rewritten Sydney's role in the movie and just been like, hey, this is going to be Kirby now. And I mean, I don't know what I'd imagine. Like, Hayden Panettiere has not worked in a long time. She's, publicly had a lot of issues. So I think that her asking price, I don't like discussing what, people are going to be making or anything, but I'm sure that she would be more receptive to an offer that Spyglass made, that, Nev Campbell turned down, because Nev Campbell has already established herself at this point. Hayden Panettiere is getting back into the game after being away from it for a while. So it's more of like, it's a blessing that fell into her lap. So I can see that being a good alternative for everybody, of just being like, okay, we're rewriting Sydney's part to now be Kirby's part. And that's why we have everything in here. So in that sense, it's already been set in stone. It's been decided months and months and months ago that Nev Campbell was not going to be in the movie. And at this point, it's like purely speculation of whether or not she is. That's not to say that maybe they did decide, okay, well, people really want her. Let's give her a Vin Diesel-esque Tokyo Drift cameo appearance at the end where she pulls up in a car and just like, see you guys looking for Ghostface or what, something silly, which I hope doesn't happen. I think that would be ridiculous. But who knows if they could still get her for that. So there's always a possibility. But I think at this point, I believe her. Like when she says that she's not going to be in it, I don't feel that she would at this point lie to her fans. Have the wool pulled over her eyes, because it's almost in a way it's the optics of that are bad. It's almost like disrespectful to a fan base to hold on out on them like that and feed them a different story. It's one thing if the production hasn't even started yet and the studio's telling them, you have a contract that you've signed, you can't talk about anything. If anyone asks you, just say that you haven't heard from us. That's one thing. But at this point, it's, they would be announcing it. So I don't think that there is. And if she is in it, I guess I don't want to know. I want that 20-second cameo to be a surprise.
Yes, I heard you, man, and I hear you. I agree too, man. It just seems like, the other side of that coin is maybe the studio doesn't want to come out, because if they come out and say they did this, then other actors can think they're going to be caving in to actors if they go public about their salary, which is the counter argument I've heard from people. And I thought that's an interesting thought. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I still tend to lean more towards what you're saying, is that if you're these people at Lantern, these executives who own the purses strings to Spyglass and this film, she made you look really bad, like really bad. And I would want to get out in front of that and say, hey, we're the good guys again. You can love us again. We can get excited again, and I agree. What you said, basically, I'm I'm with you. I'm open to the idea of the other viewpoint, but if you had to ask me right now to pick a side, I would have to pick towards
Yeah.
her not being in the movie. I think that is what
I
I'm
don't think she
expecting.
she doesn't need to be in it. I think that
Yeah.
like you said, it's a crowded cast as it is.
It is.
I think it's okay. You know, like she could have been in it. They missed their opportunity.
right.
There's nothing wrong with that. I have every bit of faith that, you know, this is not the last we've seen of her, but I feel that her story it's not over, but it's you know, on vacation. You know, we'll say.
And
You know, she
hey, exactly. Look, it doesn't rule out 7, right? It does not mean she can't come back for 7 either. That's a possibility. So it could just be one movie. She's not there. She's back in Scream 7. And the original plan goes back into place because that was the rumor. It was a cameo in 6 and a larger role in 7. It was a 2-picture deal. So it could happen. It could still happen. You know? And some people are ready to move on past Nev. I'm of the side that I still think you could tell the story with Nev. I think she could be a part of the story. Now, that may necessarily be the focus, but, you know, I think with good writing, it can be a good story with her.
Yeah. I think at this point they should focus on what they've got. There's a lot of groundwork that they need to. I mean, like Sam was not received as well as you know, like a lot of people had hoped, and I think that you know, like I think that she was great. I think that there obviously was a lot of issues just based on the fact that like there's a lot of baggage that had to be unpacked with that movie, and now that we've gotten past it, we can pick up where we left. Like there's less work to do at this point. You know, she can now just be a character. And I've actually someone made a really good argument because I had brought up in the Who Killed Who in Scream 5 video is that, you know, a possibility because she's taking medication, and I actually had someone comment on that because I said a possibility was that of just Richie being the killer at the beginning, or not the attacker at the beginning with Tara, is that he had sabotaged Sam's medication and it somehow made her, you know, like loopy or forgetful, or not realize that, you know, he had gone out of town. And someone who is actually, you know, takes the antipsychotic medication commented on the video and just said, you know what, like given the side effects of how this medication reacts when you take it, and just sort of like Melissa Barrera's kind of wooden, I don't want to call it a wooden performance, but there's moments where she's not as emotive, but they said like that's a side effect of just like you're not as emotive when you express things, or you know, you might seem robotic. So in that sense, I feel that that might have all been intentional, and really Melissa Barrera like hit that one out of the park, and nobody is giving her credit for that. So I think that at this point, what they should be doing is focusing on these two characters of the Carpenter sisters. And I think it's really like the groundwork has already been laid for Sam. I think that the issue might be with Tara, because like we know who Tara is to Sam, but we don't really know who Tara is to Mindy or Chad. I feel like that was another area where Scream 5 characters kind of suffered, is that we didn't really see a lot of dynamic, at least like with like Scream 1 to Scream 2 and the 4 people who survived there was at least enough of a history between them that, you know, they could just kind of like pick up where they left off, and it worked out well. Now we're going to have to establish these relationships with Tara all over again with the other survivors, because I feel like I don't know anything about their connections. It almost felt like, because they were like Mindy and Chad we know that they went to her hospital room, they cared enough to at least do that, but it wasn't like, you know, they were obviously more concerned about other things throughout the movie. Like they didn't really even talk about Tara. So
they really didn't. And
that's why I said, like, you know, like you gotta, you're writing a script, you gotta look ahead, you gotta, you know, think about what you're gonna do with the next movie. So I like all the people that survived. I think that they chose the right people to survive. And I look forward to what it is. I don't expect a lot with Chad or Mindy. Like they'll be in the movie. I don't think that they're going to have huge roles. It'll probably be something similar to Randy and Scream 2. Not to say that one or both of them are going to die, but just like he wasn't in that movie very much. I mean, it feels like he was, because he had such an impactful part, but I think like his combined screen time is very limited. So
it is limited. Yeah,
it's there's I think that they'll be present. That's what I'll say. But
they'll be on set.
Yeah, like, but they'll have an impact. But I think that what we're going to be looking for mostly is the Carpenter sisters, and
100%.
That's why I don't really know. Like, my biggest question mark is Kirby at this point, because I can see, we know Gail at this point. We know her coming back, and she can easily insert herself into new movies. But Kirby, like, already being like ruled out to be dead, and then secretly in an Easter egg shown to be alive, and now coming back, like there's a lot of blanks that need to be filled in with her. Not that I think that she's going to be the killer, but I think that that's a good opportunity to possibly like put some sort of red herrings in, or just make it suspicious of just like, why are you here? Why are you back? Why are you alive? And why are you back all of a sudden? And how can we integrate this into the story that's going on right now?
Yeah, man. There does need to be a lot to unpack with her. It's been 12 years, and that's why I keep thinking like the house they built on that set in Mel's. I really do think it's Kirby's house. I think they're going to have to fill in some of that space for us through flashbacks or nightmares, something that's going to just, but again, if you do it too much though, Zach, whatever screen time you give to Kirby and Gail, you're taking away from Sam and Tara. And so I just don't want to have another Scream 5 where at the end of the movie, you and I are talking about 6 next year together on a live stream like this, and we're saying, man, you remember last year when we were talking about our concern about this? I still don't know these people. That's my biggest fear. Is like, I want to have a connection where I feel like I care and really know these people, which is what you've been talking about, that focus on them.
Totally, yeah. I think what they need to do with Gail, because they can't, like, there's not enough space in the movie to give her like a Scream 4 type storyline of just trying to prove something. I think that she should be there, and I definitely think that she should have an agenda, but I would say I would keep her to be kind of like a supporting character, and have her, and I did a video on this of just what I want to see, and I think that like Gail would be a very good character to put in peril, and then drive the sisters to kind of like look into it and see, like, almost it was like I know that you're showing pictures, because there's the one of her in the blue suit with the green shoes, and it looks like they're kind of being very dismissive of her and like running away or just trying to get away from her. So maybe there's a situation where she's trying to, and like similar to the end of Scream 5, or just like the beginning of the last act, where Sam is running away and Gail's just like, no, we got to like do it, like just touting Sydney's line of just like, you got to face this head on, and her just being like, I'm not interested. And then Gail kind of being like, okay, I guess I'm going to do this on my own. And then Gail kind of putting herself in a situation where I don't want to see her die, but at least put her in the crosshairs to the point where, like we've seen Gail being held captive before, like Scream 3, of just something to motivate Sam or Tara, or both to kind of be more engaged and just be like, okay, this is what we got to do because our friend is in trouble. That picture. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. They're walking away from her almost like, get away from us. You can almost get that vibe. Like they're walking to their cab.
You see she's holding the microphone. So she's
got the mic. Yep.
Trying to talk to them. So
trying to interview them, probably on camera, get a scoop. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, there's Tara, and how about that Sam look? She's got her hair here. We got the black hair, and she's got black fingernail polish. And I mean, has she roughened up a little? Has she toughened up a little? Like, gone a little dark maybe after what happened. That makes you wonder.
Yeah, maybe.
The way that
But
movie ended, which is one of my favorite scenes, when she goes, man, look at that shot. Just that's
Yeah.
so good.
And that's another reason. I don't get why people discredit her, because she, you hear about people criticizing Jamie Lee Curtis in the OG Halloween for throwing the knife down twice, and you have someone like
Right.
Sam who's like, no, I'm not going to throw the knife down. I'm going to keep stabbing and doing everything I can until they are like for sure dead. And I don't understand. Like, it's just like, well, make up your mind, people. Like, this is what you wanted. This is what the movie is giving you. Like a final girl of 2022, and she delivers on all fronts that way. So, yeah, I don't know. I like.
It's my favorite scene of Scream 5 is the stabbing of Richie. It's my favorite.
So that's your number 5. Okay.
That's my last one. My favorite scene for tonight is when she kills Richie. She is unleashed. It's like, oh, there she is. And of course, because I was expecting, stab, 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 and she, it's done. And then she stabs. And then she gets on top of him, and it's still going. And then Zack, she's still going. And it's like 23 stabs.
Something 23,
right?
22 or 23, and then a throat slit, and then 3 gunshots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
She even, and then not to count out, like, she bit into his wound.
That's true.
Earlier to get away. So,
Dude,
she that was the thing. That's okay. Like, if the killers in 5 are just, they're pathetic, and obviously that was intentional.
The best.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's like
she's better than any killer, better than any of them. Zach, I'm sorry, she is.
They had that coming, and that's why I think it's funny, because like people keep saying like the whoever the killer is this time is going to get away with it, or their identity will be saved for the next movie. And, maybe it's a possibility. I wouldn't rule it out, especially with them saying that they're going to subvert expectations. But like, clearly, like, any of these new like Richie and Amber, who are coming into this and being like, we're going to be the first ones who do this, and we're going to get away with it, when like literally every single, like, historically, you've seen all these people try to do it and they always get caught. So what makes you think that you're going to be the exception to this rule?
Right.
So I find that to be funny. And especially when you look at their plan specifically, how nothing they did, like, there were already so many holes in what they were doing. Amber literally went out of the house and shot at Gail and Sydney, where they could have simply just been like, okay, we're going to drive to the hospital, tell the cops that this girl who, would give her a description of what Amber looks like, just shot at us. She's the killer. Cops go back there and be like, oops, sorry, you're going to jail now. So it's like nothing they did was thought out, especially of how they were going to frame Sam. It's
true.
It was fun watching them fail so epically, but I think what I wanted in Scream 6 is a competent, scary killer who actually is going to have an impact on the lives of these characters.
Yes, man. Give us a very smart, well thought out plan and execution. And like you say, man, and my biggest thing too for 6, maybe the biggest thing outside of what we've already talked about, is I want a really good mystery. I don't want to walk in knowing it's going to be Amber and Richie. I want to go in thinking, I don't know who it's going to be. The trailer didn't show me. This Scream 5 trailer, it showed us who the killers were. It's sad that they did that. So I hope that they don't. Because in 6, I hope they learn from whoever the marketing team is. Because I want a mystery, man. I want that Scream 1, 2, 3, heck, even 4, all of them. I want to feel like it's coming to the wire, and I'm not quite sure who it is. That's what I want to feel again. Or I want to be certain it's somebody, and that mask comes off, and it's not that person. And that's one last thing, Zach. We didn't get in 5. We didn't get a mask reveal. And I was disappointed because
Yeah.
in 2, 3, and 4, one of the Ghostface killers was in costume, and we got to see the mask come off.
Well, we
And
got
I
we got
love
the
that.
we got which was like the subversion of Amber removing the mask after she'd already been revealed. Which I mean,
Already been revealed.
it's
Yeah.
I saw it coming. I mean, I kind of at that point I'd already known that she was the killer. Obviously,
Yeah.
they were trying to build up the possibility that it was going to be 3 killers by doing that.
Yes.
But I just knew that, like, well, that has to be Amber.
Right.
Like there's no,
Same.
like, she just put the costume back on. So I mean, had they planted the seeds earlier in the movie to suggest that there might have been 3, that might have worked. But yeah, you don't want to
Yeah.
waste a moment like that. Like they there obviously wasn't a mask reveal in 1, unless you count Sydney removing the
No.
mask, because Sydney's really she's the killer in that movie, of just the one that takes them out at the end. But
She,
we
and
didn't
one
really
had the
we
shock
didn't
factor.
we didn't need it, because we did have
Right.
the reveals of Billy and Stu in that moment.
Exactly.
Anyway, so.
And the fake out stabbing of Billy.
Yeah.
So all that. See, it didn't. It was the first one. The 2 killers. It was the first time we were introduced to 2 killers. It was mind blowing the way they did it.
Yeah.
The fake killing of Billy. Brilliant writing.
Yeah.
It was just wonderful. But after that, though, we Wes gave us at least one person in the mask.
I
So-
mean, even in 2, because you get Mickey, but then you also get Mrs. Loomis coming through the door. And I mean, I don't know about you, but the first time I saw Scream 2, when Gail came through that door, I was just like, what's going on here? But even
Yes.
after you see Debbie Salt, there's still the surprise of learning
It
that
is.
she's Billy's mother. So there's still, it's like compounded. There's still the surprise. I personally, I find the reveal of Roman to be a little underwhelming, just because he is such a non-character and didn't have any like interaction with Sydney or really anyone throughout most of the movie. Charlie, I think, like, I kind of, when I first saw that movie, I was just like, if I had to pick someone, I'm just like, I think Charlie's one of the killers, without it really even just giving it thought. I'm just going to say that he's one of the killers. So by the time they did the thing where he stabbed Kirby, I was kind of expecting it. But the Jill one, I don't know at that point. I'd always felt like off about her, but I wasn't. I think it was like once we had seen her come in the picture, because it was just like, where's Jill? She's been missing for so long. That I think that at least, like, still in, like, Emma Roberts turning it up for that performance at the end of just being the killer versus her, pretending to be Jill. Like, that was kind of the surprise factor.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree. Amber and Richie were just very underwhelming. All around.
Yeah, I 100%, man. We're on the same page, and so that's why our hopes, guys, for 6 is that, it's a learning thing. That hopefully they've learned, they've heard feedback, they've listened to us as the fandom of Scream, and we'll see some improvements. We'll see some some upgrades and some in terms of, like, plot, story, some of the writing. So, guys, listen, this has been. Zach, this has been such a good time, man. It has flown by. I hope you've had a good time tonight hanging out with me on this channel.
It's always fun to do stuff like this, and I apparently, like, I'm not good at checking mail or something. Like, I think I got your message on Instagram, and I noticed it right away. But there's a lot of times where I'll see things, or I'll get emails, and I hadn't seen them for like days, and it's just like the opportunity had passed. But I like doing, like, when I have time, like, this is a lot of fun, and just talking to other creators. So thank you for having me in that.
Oh, man, it's really, again, my pleasure. It's my honor, and I mean that, a real honor to have you. Everyone in the chat, there's still 73 people here, which is it's amazing. Don't forget to subscribe to Zack Cherry and his channel, Cherry Picker. You got to go check them out, both channels. If you haven't already, you probably have, but if you haven't, please do go and subscribe. Zach's on his way to 100,000 subs. He is knocking on the door. It's like, the door is like almost there. So Man,
close,
that's congratulations, by the way. That's
Thank you.
wow, phenomenal.
I was actually thinking, like, because the two channels combined are 100,000 at this point.
That's a very good point. Yes.
Yeah, but it's crazy. And then like Instagram, I'm on Twitter too, but I don't know how to use Twitter. I don't even know how to use Instagram, but it's so like amazing to me that there are people that are following me and my crazy theories and speculations. So I appreciate everyone for even like giving me the platform to do it on. So that's awesome.
Oh man, well, it's well deserved, and you've earned it, my friend. You've earned it with your hard work and grinding it out and putting out quality content. So I'm not surprised by it, and I'm excited for you. And so yeah, everyone, again, go and subscribe. And Zach, I have a question for you. So everyone here who's still listening, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, but now that we're live, I want to ask you again. So next month, in the month of August, I'm doing a month-long celebration of Wes Craven. His birthday is August 2nd. He passed away later in the month, like I think the 15th, I believe. So it's going to be a month-long celebration of his life and his movies. And I would like to know if did you have a good enough time that you think you might come back and participate in another live stream with me? What do you think?
I think we can make that happen. Yes.
Yay! Fantastic. So, guys, I'm excited to share that right here. You heard it. Zach Cherry will be back again next month as we celebrate Wes, and I'll talk to Zach offline. We'll figure out if it's going to be a live stream or maybe a watch party where we watch a movie together and talk about it. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But Zach's going to come back, so thank you, man, so much for tonight and for next month to come. We'll get it scheduled with you. And everyone, you've been amazing. I want to thank you all again. For all of my visitors, maybe your first time ever here, you came over from Zach's channel. Listen, I loved having you, and I hope you'll come back. I do this 3 times a week with live streams, and I've got videos I post about every day, sometimes every other day, but fairly consistent about Scream and Halloween and other things like that too. But it's mostly Scream and Halloween. So smash that subscribe button before you go. Would love to see you back. And last thing, we're at 99 likes on the live stream.
Who's going to be the 100th?
Who's going to get us to triple digits, guys? Come on, we're at 99. If you have not smashed
we can at least get it to 110 right now.
Sorry. Yes, my throat was like all drying out. Yeah, guys, we're almost there. We're at 99. We're at 101. There we go. We hit it. Thank you, guys. 101.
Nice. Yeah.
Yay, we broke the triple digits, Zach. We did it, man.
Very nice.
This is so cool. So, yeah, I appreciate it, guys. If you have not, be sure you smash the thumbs up button. Let Zach know how much you appreciated him coming and spending this much time with us tonight. It's been great. And, hey, we'll do it again soon. Looking forward to it already. Yeah. So,
thank you to everyone for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We love you here. You guys show your love to Zach in the chat. I know you already have throughout the night. But be sure you tell him how much you appreciate him and enjoy his content. ZZM saying thanks for making this happen. Absolutely. So glad we could make it work. And in the meantime, guys, and listen, everyone who gave Super Chats tonight, thank you so much. Appreciate your generosity. Really helps the channel out a lot. So thank you, guys. And everybody's excited for your return, Zach. They're ready to go, man. So this is going to be good stuff. All right. And maybe next time we'll get a little Halloween talk in. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, Chris. It's a Wes Craven month, so maybe tricky.
Maybe not.
But maybe not. But we'll see. Stick World Series says we made it Saturday. Wasn't that, man? That's awesome. So glad. All right, guys. Zach, I'll see you backstage, and then we can have our final words before you leave. So don't go anywhere just yet, Zach. Everyone else, oh, fantastic. Stay right there. Everyone else, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. And thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you all Monday night at normal time, 9:30. Bye, guys. Thanks again, Zach. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.